My name is Randy Robertson, and I'm going to preface this with I get emotional sometimes, and if that happens, I apologize. Since my surgery, it's my wife, my daughter. So, I was diagnosed in March with stage 4 bile duct cancer, and I had a surgery at Hopkins called the Whipple procedure. And they tore out my bile duct and my gallbladder, my small intestine, part of my liver, part of my pancreas, part of my stomach. And they told me I might be cured. It was cool. I mean, I had the surgery, you know? So I'm scheduled for chemo, and my weight keeps dropping. I'm down to 147 pounds. My wife doesn't want me to start chemo because she thinks it's going to kill me. So we had a scan just to make sure the cancer hadn't returned. And it had. It metastasized my liver to my lungs, and I was done. I decided I didn't want it done. I decided to send Jesus to death is not cool. I wanted to live. I have children. I have a wife. I have a family. I'm a taxpayer. My mother prayed. Someone came to my door. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. He said, I heard you need the oil. I had no idea what he was talking about. Oil. What the hell are you talking about? Magic shit. I tried it. What did I have to lose? I'm gonna die. I got up the next morning, and I'd been on morphine, oxycodone, and all the other stuff I had to take. Zofran for my stomach. It was a drawer full of medicine like this. I wanted to take a shower. I wanted to walk my dog. I had hope. I felt good. I stopped taking the poison. I stopped taking the morphine. I stopped taking the oxycodone. I stopped taking the Zofran, the Regulin, the Ativan, Tramadol. I mean, it just went on forever. I didn't stop taking it because I wanted to. I stopped taking it because I didn't need it. I got my first scan. All the cancer in my lungs was gone. I'm going to tell you that one more time. I got my first scan. All the cancer in my lungs was gone. Who would keep this from people? Who? Why? All the cancer in my liver, all the tumors resolved. All the tumors that had not resolved had shrank, and all the tumors that were micro, small tumors remained the same. They had never seen a scan like that in their lives. At Johns Hopkins. So You see my before, my after on my poster. I'm here to tell you my story. I'm telling you it works. That's it, you know?
Randy didn't make it, and he's one of the people on our list. This Thanksgiving show is dedicated to the people on our list, like Randy Robertson. So thanks for tuning in. And that's how we're starting the show. Tune in. Just got started. Happy Thanksgiving.
Rookie.
Lefty! Let's roll! Who you want to roll with? Who you want to roll with? Lefty! Let's roll!
Alrighty, let's do this. Last one. Number 100.
Wow, we made it to 100.
100.
Can't believe we made it.
We didn't make it yet.
No, we started the show. It's over. We're good.
Do we get credit when we start?
Yeah.
Yep. It's done.
That's how I used to go to high school. I'd get sick after first period. Get credit for the whole day.
Lefty! Let's roll! Roll!
Wow.
I love that we can smoke weed out here.
We are patients. We are legal.
Wow. That's great.
Wow. It's been a long time. Last time I was on here, Jim wasn't a patient. But now Jim's a patient. Wow. It's a beautiful thing. And just so you know, I even brought my card today. There you go. There you go. Let him check it. Let him check it.
Who you
It's
want to
legit.
roll with? Lefty! Let's roll! Who you want to roll with? Who you want to roll with? Who you want to roll with? Who you want to roll with?
Lefty.
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 Lefty!
Oh, sorry.
Welcome to the show.
Live from the annex of the New Jersey State House in Trenton, New Jersey.
The last regularly scheduled Thursday State House medical marijuana /marijuana podcast informational /protest.
/ pop party.
Today?
Right?
Yes, sir.
You got them, smoke them.
Yep. Because, not that I would want to risk not getting any more permits, but it is the last permit.
Hey, we're legal. I don't know. We all have cards here. We all have our cards. We're all allowed to smoke. There's this money. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this is the last time that CMMNJ.org, SativaCross.com has to come here at the State House and protest. Hopefully, with the newly governor-elect Phil Murphy, hopefully cannabis will be all out legalized and we won't have to protest nothing. Hopefully, we'll be protesting. Oh, we're allowed to grow 10 plants. No, we're allowed to grow 50 plants. Hopefully, that's the big protest. Hopefully, by my birthday, March 23rd, I expect to see cannabis legalized within New Jersey. That's what I see. What do you see, Jim?
I see that they could get a bill passed and signed. Whether or not that makes it legal to consume then is going to be certainly up for debate. What happens if it's legal once it's signed, but they do not have the ability to sell it to you and you're not allowed to grow it or buy it anywhere else? It's going to be a very gray area. So also, everybody's worried about what we need to deal with between now and then. In this bill, we want to make sure we're clear about what penalties are after it's written into law. From that day on, is it less of a penalty? Is it somewhat decriminalized de facto because it's been signed in but not? There's going to be a whole gray area legally, so we want to watch out and make sure we know what that means. Because if it's signed into law then, I want protection then.
That's why I don't like.
Well, I got protection as a patient. I want protection as an adult, as a human being.
What kind of protections?
That I could.
You're on the air. You're on the air with Sativa Cross.
Lefty?
Hello.
Lefty, can you hear me?
Who's this?
This is Justin Alpert. How are you?
Justin Alpert. How are you, sir?
Justin, what's up?
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm doing very well. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I cannot thank you guys enough for being out there today. Thank you so much for the good work that you're doing. Thank you for all of your commitment. What show is it? 157?
No, 100. 100. It's pretty easy.
The 100th podcast, but it's the 121st Thursday regular gathering because there was 21 non-podcasts. So this is the 125th. Pretty good, Justin. What's up, man? Happy Thanksgiving.
I forgot about those.
It's all very, very good.
Yes.
So you want to report from the suburbs?
Yes, please.
What's going in the burbs?
In the suburbs out here, they have been exploring random student drug testing. And what they were doing is they were going to pull out kids and randomly drug testing. What we decided to do is we decided to take a much harder, comprehensive approach. So we're not going to be isolating. We're going to do a better job.
Come on.
In the suburbs. Just let you guys know that.
Justin, are you on a speakerphone? You on speakerphone?
No, I'm not on speakerphone.
Okay, you're just breaking up. Can you just repeat that? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm only saying that we're doing good work out here in the suburbs. We're trying to reach out to the kids who need help rather than sending them away and rejecting them. We're reaching out to them, and we're going to give them the help they need. So there's some good things happening out here in sensible drug policy reform.
Nice. What are you trying to do?
So what are we trying to do? Well, they wanted to come in with random student drug testing, which we said doesn't make any sense and is the complete wrong approach. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to develop a program in the school to actually provide the kids help to the kids when they need. And it's going to be a much more compassionate approach. So we're looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, hi, Justin. It's Ken Wolski. I read your objections to the random student drug testing in school, and I was very impressed with the dedication, the articulateness, and the thoroughness of your objections to that. I thought it was just great that you did that. You went and did that. So I really want to thank you and congratulate you for your efforts in that.
Oh, thank you, sir. And I can't thank you enough for your help in there and your help crafting some of the language in there because it was spot on. And since I stole it from you, we'll discuss that later, and I'll give attributions to the later point. But really, thank you for your insight on all of that, because it couldn't have been done without you. And it couldn't have been done without our friends from Family for Sensible Drug Policy, and from the ACLU, and from Help Not Handcuffed, and from Act Together New Jersey. So there's a really strong political group here in New Jersey. And I look forward to the conversation about how to responsibly do legalization.
Yeah, it's happening now. So, we're involved in that conversation, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. We want to allay people's fears. We want to, inform the people about what's really going on, and deal with the kind of misinformation that opponents of marijuana legalization are spreading, about the different states where marijuana has been legalized. They use a lot of.
This is a wonderful. Yeah, this is a wonderful thing, because now we have an opportunity to get into the schools and say, okay, well, what if the message we have been sending has not been working and has been dishonest? How can we send a message to help kids actually make healthier choices? And so it really is a wonderful thing, and I can't thank everyone at the coalition enough for all the work they do. So thank you. And really, I was just calling to say happy Thanksgiving to you. Are you guys out there? I saw pictures of the tables and whatnot. People coming by. Are they being served?
Yes, yeah, all of the above. We've just given away a great deal of food to a couple. We got some warm clothes to people who needed it, and the more food keeps coming. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it looks very successful so far, at least at the beginning stage here, Justin. Thank you. It is kind of cold. There's not a lot of people, Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not a lot of people trying.
I love that the police were kind of thankful that you pulled a permit to do this on Thanksgiving. So good for them. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone there. Thank you for fighting. And, let's make this happen. Let's develop a leadership position and make this work.
Well, we're so happy to have your support, Justin. You're such a powerful voice, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, guys. All right. Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
All right. Be well, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Notice I didn't do my Who's the Bigger Douche. We're not doing that today. Or should I? Should we do that? Okay.
No, it's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving got to be nice today, right?
Yeah.
Day for giving thanks, being
Yes,
happy,
and thankful.
being with our family. My family, Wayne and Lefty.
Yeah, there you go. Your new family.
Cannabis family.
Cannabis family. That's great. Yeah, so many patients. It really is it's a remarkable thing to be able to legally smoke marijuana here in New Jersey, and more people need to take advantage of this program. We have some really world-class marijuana here in the state, and by God, more people need access to it. The panel who reviewed those petitions to add qualifying conditions acknowledged that 43 of those petitions were valid, and just acknowledge, and in doing so, they acknowledged that hundreds of thousands of people in New Jersey can benefit from marijuana therapy. So, we need to get this to the people who are suffering without it and who are forced to use pharmaceutical drugs that have much worse side effects, or forced to suffer needlessly. So,
Well, that first clip I played was of Randy Robertson from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
He's the one who had the Whipple procedure. Very expensive procedure where they pull out all your organs and put them back, and that was before he got cannabis.
Yeah, kind of a desperation measure. The things they do, surgically are just so outrageous. What they did to Jenny Barber. They do brain surgery. They took out a golf ball size of her brain before they would try cannabis surgery, before they would try cannabis therapy. It's just sometimes you look back on medical things and you see why they were considered horrors in the past. When you have a nice and safe and therapeutic alternative like cannabis available, it's we're overcoming so many of the stigmas and ignorance and fears and misinformation. Justin talked about honesty in drug education, and we don't have that in America. We don't have honest drug education. We have drug education that's based on fear and misinformation. And we need to overcome that, and that's what we're working to do here with the coalition and all of our supporters and people who are, working along with us for this.
I think it's changing a little bit.
Oh, absolutely,
changing.
absolutely.
It's changing.
I mean, when I was advocating for marijuana reform in the mid '60s, about 12% of the population supported marijuana legalization, and now 50 years later, we're at a tipping point. We're over 50% of the population supports marijuana legalization, and that's because they've really realized, that when the sickest people in the community are using marijuana and it's helping them to get better, that the fears and the dangers that have been associated with it have been far exaggerated.
Here's the issue I have. We're talking about legalization within 100 days of Phil Murphy's inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
Patients that were sick and suffering and dying waited how many years to get their access?
A lot of years.
3?
Well,
4?
it depends on when you start counting. I mean, the bill was introduced in 2005. The law passed in 2010. That was 5 years. The bill was sat in the legislature, having committee hearings. So
I didn't consider that 5 years right there. So there's another 5 years.
Right.
That's excluded time. I hear excluded time a lot. Yeah, they use that with Ed Fortune. Ed Fortune's got excluded time. So excluded time for those 5 years excluded. What's the how many 3 years after that?
Well, December 12th, December 6th, 2012 was the very first day that marijuana became, available here in New Jersey, legally available. Some patients went up to the dispensary up in Montclair, New Jersey, and got it there.
When it was open.
Yeah, when it was open. It's not open now?
It wasn't open back then.
Yeah. They closed it shortly after it
Yeah.
because they had a bad batch of marijuana. They didn't have any marijuana to sell. And they were the only dispensary in the entire state that was open, and they only took people from North Jersey. So 2012. And so we're coming up on an anniversary. December 6th will be the 5th anniversary of legal marijuana here in New Jersey. 12.
Legal medical marijuana.
Legal medical marijuana.
There's a few anniversaries coming up. We have Sabina Rose's anniversary coming up. I think that's December 2nd, day she died. And we have another clip I'm going to play of Diane Ripatella. Remember her?
Oh, sure. Very much so.
She's on our list. We're playing a lot of the clips from people on our list today.
Diane was an MS patient who lived, I think, in Toms River, near there. And she was an advocate for medical marijuana. She was very involved in the struggle during the 5 years to get access to medical marijuana. And she died before it ever became available to her. She was there for when it passed into law, but I'm pretty sure she died just before it ever actually became available.
She never saw legal cannabis.
No, she never saw it. Like Cheryl Miller never saw it in her lifetime, and so many others.
Never saw it, but they sure as hell fought for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
I've got cookies here. Somebody gave me a stack of cookies. Are these medicated or not
Don't eat 'em.
medicated?
You don't
Now,
know.
this is the problem we don't know. Now, what's up with that gourd, Wayne? Is that a medicated gourd?
No, that's just decor for the table. I don't know who put it there. Or Slav. I believe Slav brought it.
He
to
says
the
it
party.
lasts a year.
I don't know what he's doing with it for a year, but hey, okay.
So Wayne, what did you bring down? You brought down a lot of food today, huh?
I brought some food, some turkey stuffing.
Oh my God!
You brought cooked turkey?
Cooked turkey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We should make sure that we give that out to people who need it.
So far, we
Nice.
gave one away. I got like 9 more. Whatever we don't give away here, gonna drive down to the local. The Trentonians here know where the local food shelter is, or kitchen.
Yeah, great.
So it'll definitely feed people today. That's the whole point. Day of Thanksgiving.
Oh, you're very generous, Wayne. We thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank Barini's.
Barini's Deli in what city?
Randolph,
New Jersey.
Barini's Old World Market.
I understand Governor Christie goes there.
Yes, he was. Well, he wasn't there. His wife and children were there yesterday.
Yesterday? Oh, how about that?
They got their turkey.
From you? Oh, all right.
What kind? A white one?
It's not-
Yes, they actually got a white one. They
not
didn't
a
get a Mexican one.
It's not a state secret, is it? The kind of turkeys they get.
Well, it's not like the president. They don't have to pardon any turkeys. They just go to the store and get it.
Trump wanted to kill the turkeys Obama pardoned last year. Did you hear that?
No.
He wanted to do everything Obama did right. He wants to destroy it. He wanted to kill those turkeys. That's pretty funny.
We're thankful. We're very grateful that people are coming by and taking some of the food that we're giving out. So we're happy to share it. Happy to share it. Many of the members of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana made a great many donations for both the food and the clothing.
Big time.
So
Big time.
it really came through. CMMNJ and Sativa Cross.
Awesome.
It was a good year
It was a great year.
for cannabis. A good month for cannabis legalization, actually.
What's up, hon? How you doing?
Hey. I got more food coming in. Look, another bag of food. So much food's coming in, and wow. Okay. And other things. Cool. I can actually smoke my cannabis here, which I really appreciate that. Thank you, Ken. Ken, thank you for letting me smoke this cannabis here. Because of your work in the past few years and decades, I can smoke my cannabis right here with you.
Well,
So can you.
enjoy it.
Oh, yes.
So what's the rule? The rule is you can't smoke back there, but you can smoke here. So that's
The rule is you can smoke wherever the hell you want once you get a card.
Yeah, pretty much. Let the judge figure it out.
That's what they say to us, pretty much, right? Hey, talk to the judge. Explain it to the judge.
So speaking of judges, all the charges were dropped against you, Lefty. For
Yes,
that
everything's
demonstration?
good.
Everything's good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Now, are you suing anybody, or you can't?
I'm suing everybody.
You're suing
I'm
everybody.
suing everybody. I might sue you if you get out of line, but no, I'm suing everyone. Yeah, I have to go to court with Ed's old lawyer on Monday.
Ed's old lawyer.
Yeah, here in Trenton, I'll be in court.
Oh, because of the assault.
Yeah, my assault.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I just went for treatment for my assault. I had an EMG test yesterday where they stick these pins in you, and
I saw part of that. Yeah, it
man.
looked pretty painful.
He moves it around while you're. I'm like, dude, really? Check, please. I want to go home now.
Is that why you're wearing the glove? Really? That's pretty.
I'm bruised.
You're bruised.
I'm crying inside still.
Yeah. Still, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
I'm not passing this because you know.
No,
You're not allowed to.
Ken doesn't even want to.
No, I don't smoke in the daytime. I'm a nighttime smoker.
Not even a sativa?
No.
No.
I find I have driving to do. Oh God, I have to go to Brooklyn today. So
Yeah, I got to
God
ride
bless
too.
you.
yeah. So I really can't stay too long here at the podcast today, but because of prior commitments. But
But
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Thank
I'm
you,
here
Ken.
now.
And thanks for
Doing-
coming all year and
doing what I
and
can.
being the voice of reason. You always have good stories for us to talk about.
I majored in philosophy in college, so I should know a thing or two about reason.
You are very reasonable and very patient. You deal with me all the time. You're a very patient person.
Yeah, you're definitely patient. Definitely patient.
And a patient, if I may say.
And a patient as well, yes. New Jersey patient. So,
We need more patience in New Jersey, especially in the inner
Yeah.
cities, because the drug war seems to take on a whole different aspect in the inner cities. You just see what happened to Grizzy Ray a couple of weeks ago? The cops stopped him for walking in the street
oh
with a
yes,
skateboard.
yes, I did see that. Yeah,
Walking in the street.
yeah, that was
Well,
a
it's
shame.
jaywalking.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
It's jaywalking. But
It's illegal.
no, it's walking
Up
in the,
against the wall.
the sidewalk was all covered with leaves and wood. I took pictures of it, and I said I
Yeah.
couldn't get my wheelchair
Yeah,
down
no,
this
I
alleyway.
saw that.
How are you supposed to walk on the... No, so he was walking in the street. Well, he was stopped for walking while black. It's a high narcotics area. They use that terminology. High narcotics area. So therefore, there's no rights. No, you have no rights. We're going to shake everyone down that comes in there.
That's how it works.
Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I commuted on the Turnpike in up until 2006. An hour a day on the Turnpike, and it was almost a joke there. Every car pulled over was a black person, So, but the ACLU got involved, and they talked about the racial profiling, and the state police had to change their tactics. So, they don't do it anymore. And and when things like this happen, we have to talk about this, and we have to bring it to the attention of people like the ACLU, so that we can stop this from happening.
Didn't Bill Buckman have something to do with that?
Oh, Bill was great. He was a great lawyer and from South Jersey. He was one of the finest civil rights lawyers in the state, if not the finest. When unfortunately he's gone now.
He's on our list.
No, oh, is he? Yeah. And but the ACLU now would be very interested in hearing that story, and your friend should talk about it. You should tell him the story if he hasn't done it already. I saw that. It was pretty outrageous, and then to get all those charges for skateboarding without a license, come on.
Crazy,
You
crazy.
need a license to skateboard?
They got the body cam footage.
Yeah, that was something that just should not have happened. Should not have escalated to the point where it escalated. I mean, if he wanted to tell him to get on it, get off the street, and you get off the street, all right, fine, and that's the end of it. But it escalated to the point where he was arrested,
Handcuffed.
and arrested. Yeah, it's a shame.
That's not right.
But you hear about patients going through that too. Anthony in Haddon Heights. Remember Anthony? He was driving while black. Cop pulled him over for a busted taillight. Taillight was fine. It worked fine after that, surprisingly. And they chained him to a wall for 5 hours for cannabis possession, even though he's a patient. Chained to a wall like an animal.
Yeah.
Without
Happens
no
to
medicine.
me. I don't even have my card.
You happen? It happened to you.
Happens to me all the time.
You were chained to a wall like an animal for 5 hours?
I get pulled over. Smells like weed. I don't even have my card on me.
And they say, go ahead.
They say, yeah,
See
go
ya.
home, come back, fax us
Fax
with
it to
it.
me.
Really, that happened to you, Wayne?
See?
A couple of times.
A couple
Ken.
times. How about that?
A couple of times. It's just funny because I'm white. I'm whiter than white. I mean, but yet if you're black, holy crap, you can have the card and all. They don't give a shit. They're going to lock you up. They're going to handcuff you. They're going to treat you like a criminal. That's one of the reasons we got to get this cannabis legalized.
Right.
I mean,
25,000 arrests a year for cannabis in New Jersey. 90% of them for possession of small amounts. It's
how about in Philly? Philly, it's decriminalized, and yet people are still getting arrested. And 90% of the people getting arrested in Philly are black for something that's decriminalized.
yeah.
Did you steal my lighter? Where'd my lighter go? It's yours, but I'll steal it. Thanks. You had something to say, Jarrell?
No, I'm just listening. But I've been pulled over before, and it's been a hassle. But luckily, I had my card on me. But still, it's always been question after question after question. I'm just like, why are you asking me all these questions?
Where are you going?
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Where are you coming from? Up
Why's
the
your
road.
car-
So what, you got a card? What does that mean?
Why's your car smell? I just got off work. I happen to medicate on my lunch break. Whatever the case may be.
Just like
Yeah.
in jail, bro, up on the mic.
Yeah, up on that mic. Like you're in jail. Yeah. So you've been pulled over for driving while black? Does that happen to you a lot? Or walking in the street while black? Is that happening? I've never heard of
Not
jaywalking.
walking, no. Yeah, I've
Jaywalking?
that's a recent story, and I've read that.
Well, in Linden, when I was in Linden, jaywalking was a big thing.
Jaywalking's normally like in ocean cities and stuff.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Something happened. I didn't hit. All right.
Jim, I have to
Careful.
take off soon anyway, so I'm going to turn the microphone back over to you, and I'm going to...
Ken, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully
yeah.
this is the last time we see each other protesting in the front of the State House.
And, well, we're talking about doing a press conference inside the State House on December 7th
2 weeks.
to talk about
Yeah.
the need for home cultivation. Home cultivation is such an important thing for...
When is this?
On December 7th, we're looking to have a press conference. I don't believe they have a room reserved yet, but
No.
I gave Jim the information, and Peter has the information. Peter Rosenfeld is coordinating this to a couple of the board members of CMMNJ. I may not be able to go there because I have a prior engagement, but on December 7th. But anyway, they're
If you
looking
want
to
home grow, you got to show up to this one,
yeah,
people.
yeah. This is
Back this.
to talk about the importance of home grow, how it empowers patients to take care of their health, how it protects patients by having the precise strain that the patients need if they're able to grow themselves, and how they can grow their medicine and make it available to them in an affordable manner. So that you buy a couple of lights and suddenly you can produce your own medicine for years. So we really believe that home grow is very important, and it was approved by the Senate in February of 2009 as part of the original medical marijuana bill. 6 plants, were approved. So we'd like to just restore that to patients in New Jersey.
Why are some Democrats against this? Like Rice is
Corzine
against
was
it.
against it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cody's going to come out against it.
Corzine was responsible for taking it out of the bill, but I understand. And of course, Cody is against it, and
let's see what Senator Dick has to say.
Yeah, and Ron Rice. Ron Rice is just an old school, from, it's he's got it in his mind. He just, swallowed the Kool-Aid of the demonization of marijuana and how marijuana is what's destroying the inner city, when it's really the war against marijuana and the war against drugs that are devastating the minority communities in the inner city. So, he's got it wrong, but unfortunately he's got, a lot of power. He's been around for 30 years or so and in the legislature. And he won his last election in Newark with 96% of the vote. He virtually ran unopposed, except
Wait, only Saddam gets numbers like that. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. We got to check that.
96. Yeah, go ahead. I just looked it up. 96% of the vote. He ran unopposed there were no Republicans going to run against Rice in Newark, but he did have a Green Party member run against him, and the Green Party member got about 4% of the vote, as they usually do. So he got 96% of the vote in this election. So he is a formidable force, and we need to really educate him. And I tried to educate him when you tape recorded our little talk outside the State House. Yeah,
that was amazing what he had to say about all the solutions for that need to come from the inner city, not from outside.
Right, that's what he was saying. We were saying, this is going to help the inner city. He says, I hear whites talk about that from the suburbs, but I don't hear blacks talk about it from the inner city. So that's what we need. We need to have blacks.
Maybe because they're in jail.
Maybe
because they're in jail for cannabis. Hello.
Yeah.
So
can't talk from jail. That's weed man now.
Yeah. We need to get the black community educated and talking to their representatives about this. So to change this, it's very important to do that.
Ken, it was a pleasure.
Thank you,
so
Ken
with
Wolski.
that, who's next, Jim?
Well, I'm going to play our clip now from our friend here, Diane. We're playing clips of all the patients on our list.
How long is this clip?
A couple minutes long. Enough to go get food if you want to get food.
Yes, food.
See this video.
Got the video on now then, right?
Yes, it just started. Sure.
She's crying.
I am dying of ALS, which most people know is Garrett's disease. And most people, when they hear Lou Gehrig's disease, they think baseball. It's a lot more than baseball. It's a fatal disease that has taken my life away and my independence. There is no cure and there's no hope for ALS. And eventually, after diagnosis, your life expectancy is between 2 to 5 years. I'm going into 18 months of diagnosis. I am already on hospice, and hospice is doing a wonderful job. And they're doing a great job in supplying me on all of the narcotics that everyone would wish for. I have lorazepam, I have Valium, I have raspberry flavored morphine. And then I went to hydromorphine, I think that's crystal. Orthomorphine, it's a higher dosage. What that does to me is just kind of put me to sleep. And God doesn't allow me to be the person that I am. It's hard to put in words exactly what I've been through. And coming to terms with my mortality is incredibly difficult, especially since when I was diagnosed, I was only married 6 months to my husband. I have spent a good part of my life helping the sick and giving back to society. I used to be a marathon runner, and I've raised over $150,000 for different charities, such as the Leukemia Lymphoma, the Live Strong Foundation, Gilda's Club, and so forth. I am an activities director, which I've worked with seniors at a medical day center and help hoping their life become happier.
That's Diane
ALS has
Ripatello.
stripped me from my
She just talking about ALS. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but ALS is a horrible disease. Hold on a second.
She was testifying in front of the New Jersey Medical Marijuana Assembly Committee.
It's a phenomenon.
Trying to get ALS. ALS is one of the original 13 qualifications, correct? Of course.
And that was Diane Ripatello, had ALS and would come to the committee hearings and speak profoundly and emotionally about what it meant to her. And when she looked up and cried that she was afraid of dying, and mostly because it was, if it was without her medicine, you know. And she didn't live long enough, I don't think, to actually access that. She was there when it was signed and passed, but the process certainly outlasted her. Still is. Yeah. Yeah, I watched footage of her having doing. She was like singing and able to move a little bit with Joe sitting next to her, and he didn't know what to do. He's like, "Well, I'm not happy about shit," but she seems so happy right now, and it was kind of a study in perplexion, you know. But he was so happy that she was happy, and that didn't last, you know.
Sad.
So it is, but it's what gets us out here is sad, you know. You're gonna have plenty of fun at home. I mean, you know. But that's why we always ended the show with the ode to remembrance, and remember those who have passed on before us, who are supportive, helped in some way, mostly those who were patients, you know. So it's funny. What started out as our last podcast was to be last week. And as we got on with the count, I realized that we'd end at 99. And that would be a lifetime of saying, why not 100? I mean, I haven't answered that question. It'd be 20 years from now. These guys had 99 podcasts. You know, we had 100. It's not an estimation. It's an exact amount. It got us out here on Thanksgiving. So I thought, you know what, Lefty, I'll show up with you, and we'll get us a turkey, and we'll chow down, we'll smoke legally, and that'll do it. That qualifies. And I turned around, and Lefty's got something posted about, yeah, we're collecting dried goods and food and stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm in, but, you know, it was such a rush to make it a real Thanksgiving, and it was, you know, look at it now. What a great idea. So ironically, this isn't because we started out with this is what we wanted to do. It just grew to it. But I may speak frankly as the cannabis consumers that are my friends and fellow advocates and activists. This is not surprising for the people we know to want to do this. This is exactly who we are. And we do it because this is how we roll. And we roll with Lefty. So, you know,
Who you want to roll with?
Lefty! Yeah. So, but this is the 100th and goodbye podcast of its type. I'm sure we're going to be back. It's going to be an active year. But it's been a revolving clubhouse, too. The people that get to know each other here. And some couldn't be here all year. I see a cab drop this man off, you know. And it's a very special day because there are people here I don't know. And there are people here who realize that what we have out there in the way of warm clothes and I suppose some of them, there's dried goods somewhere. I mean, it's not like picks and shovels are sitting out, but and a lot of food to go.
Yeah, a lot
and
of
then
goods.
The coup de grace, the Barini's Old World Market turkey dinner. It's like 5-star turkey dinner. Put it in the oven. And, you know, I imagine Kathy's probably busy doing something with dinner right now, getting my turkey dinner ready, the one I'm going to partake in. And it's really good, but, you know, I never tasted a Barini's turkey dinner, you know. I feel like asking somebody to take one back. You putting that in the oven now? How far away do you live, man? No, anyway, a special heartfelt thanks to Wayne Barini, who rose up to get this done. And I tell you, the stuff that people are getting is just like voluminous, you know. And I'd say you can't put a price tag on it because Wayne refuses to put a price tag on it, but you can, you know. It's worth a lot, and this is not just here's some turkey and a box of instant mashed potatoes.
Yum, yum.
Yeah, have we gone through what's in that yet? Have we actually articulated that? Because if not, get on with it, Wayne. What's in the what's in the dinner?
All right, what's in the box?
Yeah, because like I've seen the smiles, and I know that's just getting something. Wait till they see what this is.
We got turkey sliced with stuffing in one of the trays. And then in another tray, we have assorted stuffed mushrooms.
Oh.
Gotta have an appetizer, right? Okay. And then I had to spoil them with the special Barini sweet mashed potatoes. They're not medicated, but they're still sweet mashed potatoes. Yeah. And then, of course, I had to throw a little garlic with spinach. You know, that's Italian. That's how us Italians celebrate.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
They got meal to go. All they need is an oven.
Man. And this is going to feed a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't like, I don't know if we've got a size of the box it comes in on there, but, man, this is like, was not in the original plan. And, actually, it kind of came together because of Ed Fortune, because of the Weed Man. Because I haven't seen Wayne in I don't know how long, and we meet at the Weed Man's opening day trial, and tell him about this, and Wayne's like, awesome, I haven't been able to get to a podcast because they're on Thursdays all year. I said, we understand that, and, you know, he made the offer, and all of a sudden weight was lifted from our shoulders because we can't handle that sort of thing, you know. But then, of course, Lefty goes and announces we're having a getting stuff for other people to have, and to see somebody that needs something walk away smiling like that, you can't put a price on that.
We see it all year. The misery in this town, the people that come up to us that are just like, I need medical cannabis, but I also need food, and I also need a place to live. So, I mean, step one is, you know, it's sad. It's really sad.
Well, you know, we're not going to be strangers to Trenton. It's just not going to be on a regular basis now.
No, don't say regular. It's not going to be on a weekly basis. That's all.
Well, it might be on a weekly basis, unfortunately, because if there's call for us to be here, it's not going to be to shake hands, thank you. It's going to be to kick asses, you know. Well, yeah. It's not numbers. The thank you we can do in an email. You know, the objection to you won't give us a seat at your table. We're bringing our table, and we're going to be between you and your place of work on Thursday. Yeah, but now, see, they don't know. Used to be, oh, it's Thursday. You know what? I think I'm going around 9 today, you know. They want to get by us. Well, not no more, because we could be there on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We could be there on Monday. We could be there on Monday and sneak back on Tuesday, because they think they were just here on Monday. They'll never be here today. But the days that there are committee meetings that involve what we're needing, what patients are needing, what cannabis consumers are needing.
Home grow.
So this is the battle. Home grow. Okay, it's not going to be in the bill that's going to be submitted. But you know us I've made a virtual career out of doing things that have virtually no chance of succeeding. Getting beat isn't measured by if you get what people think you're after. You know, I saw during the civil rights period, I was a young boy, and I saw water cannons and people of color sliding by. I saw dogs attacking, you know. You know, these were people that weren't victorious that day. They lost. Or did they? No, they won. That was when it turned around. So when patients show up and we can fairly represent them and all that we can do for them and bring it out of the shadows. I learned that from the greatest, Cheryl Miller. She showed up. Things were different. There are people that want to show up. Patients were promised home grow. Nick Scutari wrote it into the Senate version of the bill. It passed out of the Health Committee into Senate, with Senator Baroni breaking down and crying when he broke ranks and voted for it. And then it got to the Assembly, it got torn apart, and home grow was out for chronic pain was out. It was decimated, but home grow was out. The majority of patients can't afford it. Come on. You know somebody that's sick, habitually sick. Do they have money? No, almost in every case. Now, if they have a good pension or they get hurt on the job, there are people who are well taken care of or set up to take care of themselves in perpetuity. But mostly, no. And that means patients, by virtue of a sales tax, can't afford some medicine, and by virtue of the fact that they just can't take away from other things in their life to make this happen. But home grow, they could.
Jim, what's the price on suffering in New Jersey? You
50,
have it
50 cents an hour.
50 cents an hour.
Yeah,
you really have it figured out.
This is what the state gets, 50 cents an hour to their coffers per hour of pain when somebody runs out of medicine. What happens is they cannot get 7% of their medicine because of the 7% sales tax.
Right.
They run out. Rough calculations show the average running out time could be into the third week, maybe only a week to go. I mean, you know, I'm trying to argue fairly. And with that, it works out to be a day and a half. If it's 3 weeks, do the math, you know, 7%. Works out to be a day and a half. It's about 36 hours. And it works out to be about $18. So, you know, we could nitpick, but it's right around 50 cents per hour. So as a patient is in pain because of the sales tax, you know how an hour can be when you are in pain? You know how long an hour can be, and at the end of that hour, you know that that was caused by a sales tax that the state gained, what, 50 cents for? Yeah. Do I sound angry and bitter? I mean, I want to make sure it's coming across correct.
Not enough.
Yeah, you got to start yelling when you say that.
No, the Heart Party really doesn't have to yell, you know. And I think that patients can understand that they need to take part, and they don't need to show up. They need to take part. They need to be able to take part where their name, face, their likeness, not their address, where it's not, they got to come out of the shadows. And not everybody, if one intended, if you want to do a basic percentage, if there was 30 people, a montage of faces and quick stories, but it's always been if it is time. And honestly, I'm telling you right now, we are creating, not taking part in, we are taking part in creating the perfect storm for getting home grow for patients. We really are. And Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey has a plan. You know, it's sort of loose, but we're pretty together with, even if it doesn't include home grow for social use for adults. We want adults who, when you realize that it's not going to be for you if you're not a patient, we can't help that. Patients will try very hard between now and when it becomes a reality. It's not in the bill. Patients are going to lead, not follow.
Well, I think
to say we want it in the bill now.
I think patients should have the option to grow.
Yes.
If you're going to legalize marijuana in New Jersey, give patients grow rights.
It should be part of this bill that gets submitted. That's one of the things we will be asking. We want this or this or this. It's not like here's a demand for a single thing. We're going to give them a smorgasbord and say, pick at least one. And if you pick one of these, you got to pick two because it's a lesser thing. You know,
choose wisely.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to.
Yeah, we do.
It's how it's
and it has to be grow. But listen, Wayne, you know how well it's going to go when we point out to people and they realize Nick Scutari, the one who's excluding this now, is the one who included it for patients, got it out of the Senate Health Committee, got it out on the full floor.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Passed it. You know why he did? Because he knew patients needed home grow. You know why he said? He laid it out. All he needs to do is say, what I said then, yeah, that.
Is his mom still alive?
I don't know.
Because you know she's one of us.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Really? One of the speeches that Senator Nicholas Scutari gave was about how his mother was one of the first in the program, the NJMMP. So if that's...
I did not know that.
If that's the case...
That'd be my Ed McMahon voice.
You know, if that's the case, we have to make this definitely a part of the new bill.
Did he grow weed for her?
I do not know.
Well, the thing is, if she can afford it, God bless her. If she couldn't, what would he think? You know, I mean, it's not a really rhetorical question. Basically, I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch the podcast, so I'll say it openly. You have somebody else pursue that's not really connected with us, you know, whoever. Let's just say Kathy Downs wrote an editorial one time that, you know, wasn't written by her. Well, there, I get to show her the podcast later. She can't watch it now. I did. I saw that. I was looking through stuff, and I saw this wonderful letter to the editor, and I wondered who wrote it because I saw in archives. And Kathy Downs.
Your Kathy wrote an article.
No, she didn't. She lived in the area where it was the newspaper, so she agreed to submit it. Well, basically, it was Kathy Downs and Jim Miller, but they left me off somehow. And it got printed. Look, whatever it takes, you know what I mean? When I have something to say, and it was freaking brilliant and topical.
When was this?
That's the way. This is like 5 years ago or something. You know, we're trying to get stuff done, you know.
How did you do it? You wrote a letter to the editor, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
that's what I just did.
Yeah, his emails. Well, yeah, and that's what people need to do. You know,
exactly.
Look, the same stuff that we say on, we do also say on Facebook. Yes, and here's something I've never heard on Facebook. I keep saying, and now that you put it that way, I agree with you. I've changed my mind. So, you know, I'll go back. I'll say my opinion but I never go back and forth with anybody about why I think I'm right or whatever. But the things that they say, I read it and I go, you both actually have valid points. My God, why don't you, one, get it to your legislator? That's an email. And two, send it to a newspaper. You know, I did a thing at Rob's Festival one time because
Damn Sam.
Yeah, Damn Sam Festival, New York State Freedom Fair and Harvest Festival. Because I could. It was, I got up and I had a bud, and I said, look, there's something that everybody do that is legislation. And I said, do you know if you spell legislature with all I's, it'll go, did you mean legislature? You don't even have to have a spell. So you go New Jersey legislature, then you click on find your legislator, and I'm doing that, whatever. And I mimed the whole thing, and I could do that as quick as he rolled that joint, which was perfect. But my whole point was, I said to him, no, that's for you, brother. I appreciate you doing that. Take a couple tokes, pass it around. Do me a favor, though, right? For a photo op. I got a photo. I want a photo of you with that joint in your mouth lit. Hold your hands out to the side like ta-da. And he did that. And I said, you, my friend, then are now smoking a joint and you have two free hands. You could be sitting at your computer doing what I just did quicker than it took you to roll a joint. And I said, so it's a post-hypnotic suggestion that you're all going to realize the next time you see a computer and you're rolling a joint, you're going to realize that you should take it over to that computer and tell your lid blah, blah, blah. It was like an reenactment sort of thing, you know. But I had click it and something and click it. Well, click it or tick. I had some sort of stupid phrase, you know.
That's Scott Miller, exit 70. Thank you, Scott Miller, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Scotty.
It's like, it's so cold. How cold is it that my right thumb is so cold? So cold it will not operate the lighter. It will not operate the lighter to light this legal joint that I get to smoke because I'm a patient.
Back is filling. Can't feel the tip of my nose.
Speaking of legal, so that's a legal joint, huh? I don't know.
I didn't say it was a legal joint. Did I say that? Well, that wouldn't be entirely accurate.
Legal medicine.
It's my legal medicine.
Medicine, okay.
It's legal medicine for me.
Okay.
Hey, we're getting semantics down here, you know?
Well, this is my question to you. Now, I bought a beautifully rolled joint, pre-rolled, keef.
It looks like my...
Exactly. But I bought this in a different state.
Let me see. Oh, look at that.
His is better.
Yeah, I rolled a better one. Yeah. Because by law, this must be...
That is an evenly coated...
Uh-oh. She wants to take a picture to see whose is bigger.
Evenly keef-coated joint right there.
Come on.
I'm going to hold mine all the way down at the end.
We'll put the gourd in the middle. Jim's is a little bit bigger.
I'm all this.
Mine's thicker, though.
I imagine if you looked at it close up, it might look like two of my fingers were holding his hand below mine, you know?
Anyone want to hit this? Anyone?
Only if you're a patient. There you go. There's a patient.
Sorry, to the left, bro. You know, to the left.
Patience to the left.
Never violate. Never violate.
Here's me right to the end.
I didn't bring this. Canon commandments.
And you know, I gotta say, thanks to the state police, actually, and the police, they have never once bothered us here. Not once, ever. There's a lot of other complaints. I'm saying on that one issue alone, us, my only issue with them is how they treat our podcast, and it's you know, come on, we move that line regularly, and when we get over it, we step back. That's only been twice. Once was it's too loud. That was when Deaf Jeff was holding the speaker up to the windows and screaming in it, and it was pretty loud. Yeah.
Don't mind if I do.
But they have a point, you know. It's like they have a right to have office work getting done without hearing screaming outside. So whatever. We learn. So how quiet it is now.
It's
except for the "Who you gonna roll with?" I love that, man. That's the best beginning ever. Yeah, you got a microphone on over here? Kim, come on, have a seat. I'll take Lefty's part. No talking off mic. Grab a mic.
I'm just saying, you guys had Christie coming to work in the Ryder truck. Remember that?
What's that?
You guys were expecting Christie to come to
work
that morning.
Yeah. I don't have my earphones on today, so it's
his,
not quite the same.
In his car or his posse, he came to work in a Ryder truck, didn't he? Hiding from you guys?
No,
he was hiding from you guys.
I think
he was scared of you guys.
Well, we got...
He knows. Governor Christie knows.
I went back through all the photos, and I think Lefty had it about right. He thought it was somewhere around 13, 14 times that he did have to interact with us or choose not to. And quite frankly, the time that he ignored us entirely was our productive moment making our point about him.
Right.
He walked right by. Leo Bridgewater was sitting at his first podcast. He's a veteran. Got a question. And then we mentioned he's ignoring a veteran. He walked right by. It's like he didn't hear us, except for the fact you could hear the echo of the booming speakers. Right. It was terrible PR for him. And now here I am with a legal joint in my mouth as I hold the microphone. Oh, I'm not minus headphones. We got headphones all over here. Dead air. Cold hands, move slow. Dead air.
Well, what I was going to say earlier, when you guys were comparing your stuff, is I was driving to the dispensary to get my legal medicine, and my Waze took me through Philadelphia, and I realized I could not take the same way back because as soon as I crossed that invisible line from New Jersey into Pennsylvania, I am no longer a patient.
Right.
Because my legality is only in New Jersey. And I thought we had, I think it's the 14th maybe amendment that the laws have to apply to all citizens of all states. So one state can't restrict your freedoms. Like, you have the same protection as an American. But in order to get that, first we need to also legalize at the federal level. Sorry, I'm a buzzkill.
No.
No, continue.
Don't. I
continue.
took advantage of it to turn away and cough till you said
I'm sorry.
that.
I'm trying to tweet and talk at the same time, and it's not working out.
And I'm trying to consume medicine and talk at the same time, and it's not working out. So between the two of us, though, we get a whole alert on the job subject person. We average it out.
We do. Complimentary. Oh, there's a call coming in. I think we might need Lefty. Lefty's really the expert and the mastermind of today's event.
Yeah.
Giving back to the community and
but
making a party for us.
We're gonna make sure he's not sitting down too much today, because this is like a really, really great going out party, and so we're kind of splitting time, getting around saying hi, because sometimes on a podcast it's going so good that neither one of us gets up for like 90 minutes worth of it, which is over half of it. And then, Brian Cummings, where are you, Brian? Did you leave yet? That's what he does. He sneaks out.
Brian disappeared.
He's like Clark Kent, you turn around and he's gone. But Superman doesn't show up, so,
And you guys have been doing this every Thursday, week after week, and I just want to say I appreciate it, because, some folks can't get out. Some folks, for whatever reason, can't be here physically. And, you guys are representing me. You're representing me to my legislators. You're representing me on the sidewalk here. You're representing all the patients that are too sick to be sitting out here week after week in all kinds of weather.
Everything you just said, everything you just said would be a great summary of the pictures I posted. I didn't know you were only allowed to post 42 pictures on Facebook at a time, but I just started going through really quick before coming here at the last minute. And it sort of told a story just looking through it.
Yeah,
but you could see the cold, the heat, the rain, it just over. It was 3 years, every Thursday between the first Thursday in April and Thanksgiving. We just didn't want to stop on 99. You can't.
Yeah.
That's all,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't, it's like one day it'd be like my time and people would be gathering around, and I don't want them to be whispering, why did they stop at 99?
Yeah, that's in
They had 99 podcasts. You don't want that.
Yes.
Why not 100? But it was Thanksgiving.
But you know what? It was meant to be that way.
It became that we didn't come because it was Thanksgiving, but when it became us wanting to pad it by one more, okay. But as I explained before, and I'll explain periodically the entire damn day, is when we started this, it was like, well, we want 100 podcasts. And then I turned around and Lefty just turned it a whole nother gear up with let's collect stuff and
awareness.
And originally it was we were going to come and smoke our medicine and have turkey and our 100th podcast. It's not windy. Now we're in the sun.
It's beautiful today.
Yeah. And to be able to see people hooking up with some stuff they can use on a very basic need basis. And that's nice to be the go-between. I mean, that was like a really good call on Lefty's part.
It was really nice of somebody to bring a super hot pot of crock pot of turkey stew.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Oh, thanks to that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was great.
It is a day to be thankful for, and
thankful
doesn't seem.
Yeah,
thanks don't seem enough, Jim.
Yeah, I'm just looking up, and for because it's an ongoing float thing. I'm just saying, I see CMMNJ board member Philippe Dumais, and I see something under foil though.
Oh, there's something under the foil. It just arrived.
Something
Ooh,
under
with
the foil.
tears on it, under it. Wow.
I do. I hope.
Phil just came.
And it's funny because like we are mostly going to have Thanksgiving dinner somewhere else later. That it's not us, it's like what Philippe brought is not going to be turkey. I have a 90%. I thought he was just floating this idea a little while
eat dessert.
back.
Life's short.
Yeah.
Eat dessert first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice though the people that have been able to stop by and say, "Good last podcast,"
Well,
and
last State House podcast. You guys can't quit.
No, right. It's the last regular podcast, and basically trying to thank Trenton in general for putting up with us for 4 years now, because this started with Jenny Storms in June of 2014, and she was going to be here every week until whatever it was about her son Jack's that needed to be done had to be with edibles with him he's going to be 18, and then he won't be able to have his oral form, whatever is going on, because that's only for kids. It should be for adults. And she started that, but then had the opportunity and great necessity to move to Colorado because, so all I did was agree to get the permits and show up for the rest till Thanksgiving. So I did 10 in a row then, And then over the winter, it's like, what's going on? Are you going to do it again? And no, I don't. Well, yeah, maybe. Well, we could. And it was April 2nd the next year that we gathered for what was just an informational gathering, no podcast. And then Lefty said, told me the possibilities. Why don't we do that? And I thought, well, that sounds great. So, then by the next week, though, we had to rush out and he had to educate me as, you got to get hotspot,
I would have not known that either.
No, I didn't know at all.
I didn't know.
And then it took.
How long did it take you to get a canopy?
Well, the coalition already had that.
Oh, okay. I was
And
just
so
curious.
basically, it's when the coalition needs it for a tabling event of something, then I bring it to Ken's house or to the event if necessary.
That was great, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's been set up and broke down 100 times for this, plus
awesome.
several other things. But
I
this year,
remember seeing you out there in like the 100-degree heat, pouring rain.
Yeah.
Wind
We never,
blowing.
the weather, but it was always up to the Lefty. There were days when really wind and rain, and it's just not going to be
Christie.
really. And it's, we can't guarantee the safety of the equipment. And he's like, "We'll take care of it." Okay, it's not,
Yes.
So it was continuous then since, and when you go back to where Jenny started. And then she moved to Colorado, I think it was after 9 or 10 times, and then I did 10. And then we started, and without Lefty doing the podcast, it would have worked itself out. You can't show up with signs and sit around.
Like you said.
And sit there and hang around. You can't. It's especially when you do it every week, it becomes less rather than more.
Right.
But when you show up with a worldwide
Audience,
podcast, how do I say, not only are we live, but somebody in China could be watching us right now.
Happy Thanksgiving, man.
So basically, that just gave us a reason to show up, and it was okay if there weren't people going by on days when there wasn't legislative business going on. There's nothing going on in the city of Trenton right now, and we're the best thing going on. So it's kind of, and here's the odd thing. There's been not one media mention of us anywhere ever as an ongoing podcast. They don't cover nobody ongoing stuff.
That's true.
Ever. So I did send out some feelers. And I have some pictures I'll get to where they belong with permission to use them in their newspaper with a description. And it's happened with Jan Heffler and the Philadelphia Inquirer, where she's more than amenable to. And I alerted her that this is not ongoing anymore. That's the whole point. we're done. This is the last one. It's the 100th one. We are no more.
Yeah.
We're just two good ideas short of a Monty Python skit. You know.
Yeah.
They're not gone. They're just sleeping. They're gone. They're gone for good. No, they aren't. You know. But there's so much going on, and I'm going to make a prediction that, and I'll get a copy of this off where it's posted or take it from the storage, that no, home grow is not going to be in the bill that will be passed and signed into law. Yes, patients are going to stick up for it being in there all the way, up until it's obvious that it will not be. We're not going to beat a dead horse. But patients fully, not just fully support it, their lives depend on it in some cases. And whether or not it's their lives depend on it in some cases, let me say as a caregiver, that even if it's not you and there's somebody suffering that could be helped by something like a plant that you can't afford buying, and you could have had it for them growing, it's everything.
Yes.
You know, it's not just the patient, it's if whole families, you know, the helplessness.
Sure.
So, a lot less helplessness when somebody knows if they need a voice, we'd be there once a week for them. And when Amanda had a rundown that actually, when I listened to somebody else say it, sounded like we did pretty good. We literally helped people get what they wanted to their legislators. I see one guy right there. Military. Guy, Philippe, went in and just to deliver a letter, you know, and It's
I
been
could
like
hear
that.
it just fine.
You know what?
I couldn't tell.
Then it worked. I got Lefty to sit down.
All right.
Now I get to stand up for a
Are we
while.
back on or not now? I don't know. Let's see. How long have you been out for? Let's see.
I don't know.
Are we back on? Can you hear me now? Hello, hello, hello. I love it. Yeah, watch that, Jim. You're on the wrong side. That's what.
Yeah,
Usually you're over here next to me.
Yeah, it's
so
just going with the
everything's-
flow. You know?
Watch your elbow here.
No, I'm getting up. I'm using this as a reason to. You don't see Lefty and me together at the same time a lot today because there's just
There's a lot going on.
people coming and going, and one of us is always going to be out in the sun having more fun than the other. So that's my turn. Not that I don't want to say goodbye to our podcast audience, but I got to tell you, we probably got more people here in our podcast audience right now.
Okay, yeah, we're back on.
So that's my turn. Not that I don't want to say goodbye to our...
That's how I check it. Listen to Jim when he's not talking.
Oh, no. We need to get somebody to come over and talk to you.
Amanda,
Yes.
what's going on? How do you feel about what's going on in New Jersey? Are you happy?
Happy is a strange thing because
Couldn't take it too far there.
And I just want to say again how much I appreciate what you guys all do week after week, especially for folks like me that, when I started in the program, I couldn't leave the house. Like, I couldn't be outdoors. Like, I couldn't go do something for an hour and not worry about my symptoms striking or, just embarrassing myself, because that's the nature of Crohn's. And I was so afraid as well of being out in public and the ramifications for even before I was in the program, but even after, for any patient, as far as, your legal protections even under the program. So I could identify with some of the patients that I know that can't come out. They like to hear it online. I know there's a certain community that's also grown up around the podcast. Folks that, like me, started off before cannabis therapy, had massive major improvements with cannabis therapy, and then wanted to come out and speak publicly about how it benefited their lives and how so many thousands, millions of others are suffering needlessly because of these archaic and racist drug laws. So I think Tony, him here at the podcast, he's moved on to a different state. I met Jenny here at the podcast. She had to move to Colorado. Still don't have edibles for pediatric patients. I mean, we have one dispensary that has oil, but that's it. And only one type of ratio. And other friends of mine that have had to leave the state because even with the program, it's still so restrictive. And now here we are on the verge of legalization, which I think is great. I think it's a better use of law enforcement resources to just decriminalize, legalize, don't enforce these BS rules about cannabis, which we know is safer than alcohol, and has medical benefit and has no reason to be on Schedule 1. That's a different conversation. But yeah, even under the compassionate use program in New Jersey, there is a lack of compassion and access. So I'm happy, but I'm also still working on it.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. It has been an amazing year, though, and an amazing month. This past month has been great for activism in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think the issue now is with legalization. How do we address these challenges? Because I think Scutari bill pretty much says, oh, hey, ATCs that have been barely able to support your current patient load, now you get rec customers. And then these communities go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We signed up for a medical dispensary. We don't want recreational. So we're going to have municipalities, placing ordinances that you can't open in those shops, or we're going to have people who are locked out of this burgeoning industry because, they were home growing illegally. We're going to, legalize it. And now all these folks are like, well, no, you don't have $30,000 to buy a permit so you can grow. I'm like, that's not, for me anyway, that's not my visualization of legalization.
Was Scutari growing cannabis for somebody?
I'm not even gonna.
I'm just asking. Do you know?
I don't think. Honestly, it's really hard to grow good cannabis. I mean, let's be real. Like, even if I could grow, I wouldn't grow because I would want to designate a caregiver for me to grow, someone who knows what they're doing. Like, it's not like a tomato. You don't plant it in your backyard and then 2 weeks later pop weed off the back. You know, you got to grow it under certain conditions. You got to have certain strains. You got to protect it from, you know, pests and fungicide and mildew. And you can't use any old pesticide because you're going to be ingesting this food, like the same way you have different pesticides for your shrubbery versus your tomatoes. You know, like, there's a science to cannabis and growing cannabis. And, you know, yeah, you could grow it and smoke ditchweed, but it's not going to be like what you could get from someone who knows what they're doing. And the guy that's been doing indoor illegally for 20 years probably knows better.
Really, Karen?
Got a little.
Really, Karen?
She's got her roll up in her
Really?
Mustang.
You're going to make an entrance like that?
Yes.
Really?
That, you know, she's a queen.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen Karen.
She's my girl.
Thank you for letting us know you listen to whoever the heck that is.
That's right. I asked somebody if they could play Panda at a party, and they looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Amanda Panda. I'm sorry. I know it's like, you know, out of season, but I still like it." All right. Sorry. I'm Captain Buzzkill, so now that we don't have the music, I know. I'm like, Jim is like, "Oh, hey, we got to fight for grow rights," and I'm like, "Well, you know, let's be, you know, cautious." And he's like, "No, don't be cautious." And I'm like, I think that's great because we need those. I always say we need the vanguard. We need like you and Jim and everybody else who's like asking for everything. Ask for everything. And then when we go to the table, they can compromise with us.
Give us a half a loaf they've been giving us for the past.
But at least we're setting the bar. Like, that's always my I'm not going to get political because it's a, you know, 501c3. I'm not endorsing anybody, but I'm just saying, like, that's one of the arguments I have for a certain party goes to the table already with concessions. Like, don't go to the table with concessions. Ask for what you want. You know, I'm a big fan of Amanda Palmer, and she's got a book called The Art of Asking, and it's about you can't get what you want unless you ask for what you want. So put it out there. What's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to say no. You still don't have what you asked for. Let's ask for. Oh, I'm sorry. Got a little reverb.
Sorry. Whoops.
No, this is my first time here actually talking out loud on the internet.
I thought you were here before a few times, actually. Or
I was always lurking. I mean, I've testified at the War Memorial.
You're stalking. That's right.
Well,
you're just circling.
Well, cyber, because you can't tweet and talk. That's what I'm still have this like pending draft here. I'm trying to post. So I'm hoping Karen will come and jump on this mic, and I can go back to hiding.
You know, we're gonna take a break real quick because I'm gonna play one of our people on our list. One of the children on our list is Sabina Rose, and Sabina Rose's mom went to see Chris Christie one day. And she faced off with Chris Christie. This is what happened.
Paula, Joana. I imagine my daughter's name might ring a bell with you. Her name is Sabina Rose.
Go ahead.
December 2nd, you made a speech about you won't expand the medical marijuana program. In the very hour you did that, I took my baby off a ventilator. She died from Dravet syndrome. She had a 24-hour seizure. Oh my God. This is what happens when you don't get the proper medical marijuana program installed in the state. You mentioned before that maybe you have to force these dispensaries to provide it, and that's exactly what you need to do.
Listen, first of all, let me say, yes, I do know your daughter's name, and I'm horribly sorry for what's happened to your daughter. And this program, as it was put together when it was originally sent to me, didn't provide for what you're talking about. We then changed it to allow edibles to come in last year, in the summer. We had no way of knowing that they would not produce the edibles. So I'm saying to you now what I said to the woman over there. As we see problems in the program, we'll try to fix it. But the bill that was sent to me by Governor Corzine on the day of my inauguration didn't provide for this. We then saw the problem, worked with the legislature, we compromised, we authorized edibles for minors. Now we're finding that dispensaries are not producing the edibles because they don't make a profit for them, because there's not enough of a demand. So now we have to go back and see, do we have to, in fact, as a condition of the license, force them to do it?
Yes.
But every time we do this, just understand that every time we do this, it makes it less and less likely that these people want to be in business, because they're in business to make money. And that's why I originally urged a hospital-based program, which was not authorized in the bill that the legislature approved. So we're continuing to try to help to figure this out. I didn't think you're going to have to force people to produce something. Now, we're seeing that we may have to. But understand that if we do that, the reaction that may be that some of them may decide to close if it's not profitable. So I completely sympathize with you. I can't possibly imagine what you're going through as a parent of 4. I can't imagine it. To feel helpless to help your child. And I'm trying to get to a place where we can do this. But if I legalized marijuana tomorrow, that wouldn't make there to be edibles. If I did, but I'm trying to figure out a problem to fix it in a way that will actually bring help to children who are having the suffering that your child had.
I did a lot of my own research with my husband. We've talked to dispensary owners. We know what works and what doesn't. We knew my daughter, who started the process of getting her medical marijuana card in August, she still didn't have it in November because of all the roadblocks. I put her to bed one night and she never woke up. She suffered a 24-hour seizure. The day that I put her to bed was the day her application was supposed to be submitted. The doctors on the medical marijuana program need to even be on that list. The things that we went through to try to get my girl this card, it took so long and she ran out of time. I have a 5-month-old son going to the ICU. She was put in a coma. She was in it for 5 days. I had a 2-month-old baby. My life is so difficult because I don't have her. And it could be easily solved. My husband and I know many solutions. We have great suggestions.
Well,
I
listen.
call your office constantly, and I don't get any response. I deserve an hour of your time one-on-one.
Well, an hour of my time one-on-one would do... An hour, listen, if I thought that giving you an hour of my time one-on-one would solve this problem all by itself, I'd give it to you.
It wouldn't.
The
But
fact
it would
is-
make my husband and I feel better. I voted for you twice. I live here my whole life. My daughter's only been to the shore once. She's only been to a park once. She had one birthday party, one Christmas. One.
I understand, and I know, and we're trying to fix the problem. And we will sit down with you and work with you to get your suggestions, like we're getting from lots of parents who are in your situation, who my staff has met with and has taken suggestions from. But the one thing I would respectfully disagree with you about is that if the problem was easy to solve, it would be solved. And it's not easy to solve. I understand, but I want you to know that people hear it that way.
No, I didn't mean it that
And so let's work together to try to solve it. And it'll be Gene Ashmore, who's right over standing up against the wall there, who's the head of my constituent relations. We'll set up time for you to come down, sit with us, tell us about your experience, and we'll try to work with the legislature to fix the problem. But this is what happens. And
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. This guy, come on, really? This guy is just too much. They just named a street after this guy. He just killed Sabina Rose, and they named a street after him. How about we name that street, I Killed Sabina Rose Lane? I Killed Sabina Rose Road. Unbelievable, this friggin' guy. I did invite Chris Christie to our podcast today. Of course, he didn't show up. Why would he show up? When he does show up, he walks past us, doesn't even acknowledge us. Like Leo. He walked right past Leo that one year. Leo's like, yeah, Governor, I fought for a country. I got PTSD fighting for your country, but you're going to walk right past me. My name's Leo Bridgewater. And you're going to ignore me? How dare you? And you walk right past. I called him a pussy that day, I think. I know, I said, don't be a pussy. I said, don't be a pussy. That's okay to say.
Well, I don't generally like pussy as an insult because I think, like Betty White, pussies are strong. Like a whole, child comes out of there. You know what I mean? Like pussy is good. Like pussy is a beautiful, delicious word, and we shouldn't use it as an insult.
I'm going to sample that.
I'm sorry.
Pussy is good?
It is.
Wait, can you say that again?
No, I said it once. That's another. No, all right. Like every word that we have, for like genitals is always used as an insult, and we're better than that. You know, and we use PMS as an insult. PMS is a real painful thing, and we're better than that.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to be better than using these like low-key misogynist light, you know, diet sexism. We need to get away from that. Same way we need to get away from like diet
Wait,
racism.
did you just say diet sexism?
Diet sexism, because it's
Whoa.
because it's all this stuff that we don't recognize is
Wow.
bullshit. Same with like the lowercase KKK. There's all this shit that we don't recognize.
Wait,
as
what?
Bullshit.
Lowercase KKK.
Have you heard that?
As opposed to the wait, what?
All right, Aziz Ansari did a monologue on SNL, and he was talking about stuff in this country right now, and everybody recognizes certain things like, oh, that's racist, oh, that's sexist, but there's always that like low key like, hey, that's kind of racist. And so it's going to be up to us to kind of talk to our friends and neighbors and say, you know, when something's inappropriate, like, dude, that's not cool, you know, because it's really easy to be like, oh wow, that guy's like a Nazi. But when who's a friend of yours says something that's a little fucked up, we have to be able to say like, hey man, that's a little fucked up. And give each other the space to say, oh shit, I'm sorry, my bad. And then we move on.
But it creates awareness too when you do bad humor.
Well, my problem is I was raised, you know, in North Jersey. My grandma had a lot of things that she would just say that were straight up racist, and I didn't realize they were racist because they were normalized. And then I go out into the world and I say these things, and people are like, dude, that's fucked up. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Or, you know, people who were using the R word as an insult. I'm always trying to, you know, remove that word from my vocabulary because now I have more exposure to these parents and these kids.
Special needs.
That, you know, it's so hurtful.
It is hurtful.
You know, and I don't
To them.
use racial slurs. I don't use, you know, gay slurs. I'm trying to become more aware of ableist slurs. And again, I'm not saying anybody's
Wait, what?
bad.
Ableists?
Ableist.
What's that?
Like, words that criticize the disability community or special needs kids that, you know, we just kind of like how you don't say, dude, that's gay. Like gay, you don't use that as stupid. You shouldn't use, hey, that's, you know, and I don't know, a lot of invisible. Sorry.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm saying like a lot of invisible. Like it's easy to see some disabilities, but some are hidden, and we have all these hurtful things in our culture that I think, again, it's awareness. Like we don't know, so you have to give people space to apologize and space to forgive, and hopefully not jump at each other's shit all the time. Culture that I think, again.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh.
Just checking audio. See, I have to check audio like this.
And space to forgive, and hopefully not jump at each other's shit all. I'm like on a delay. Well, is it because I said bad words? I tried to like not say bad words, except for the P word. That one you said first, but that's not a bad word. That is not a bad word.
Pussies are strong.
Pussies are strong.
Wait, thank you.
Pussies are good. Pussies are strong. Pussies are beautiful.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, they are.
I'm just saying, you know, like we can't insult. I'm sorry, guys, but you can't insult each other using like, you know, oh, stop being a girl, or oh, you're such a bitch, or you know.
They call me that all the time.
Why?
Because I screamed when I was in Linden. I screamed really high, like.
Dude, that whole thing was just fucked up. Like, I love the fact that, okay, we're required to go buy overpriced cannabis at the ATC. They give it to you in a glass jar.
I hate
and then
it.
they say, you got to carry this in the original package with you at all times. Like, when I used to go, my first trip to Garden State Dispensary, the can was, like, as big as a soda can. I was like, really? I got to carry this around with
remember
me?
that? The plastic ones.
And then I go to Breakwater, and I love their the cobalt blue glass jars. I love them, but very impractical for traveling. And I'm like, okay, I guess I have to carry this around. And now I go to Compassionate Sciences, even though Garden State Dispensary is like 20 minutes from my house. Breakwater's probably 20 minutes from my house. Belmar's like an hour and a half, especially if my Waze takes me through Philly.
Oh, God.
But they're the only one with the oils. They're the only ones with like a concentrated topical form. And I used to make my own oil and butter, but man, it's so much easier to just use theirs. So I don't have to spend, I'm good, $535 an ounce to go put it in my magical butter, do all the work to make my own extract, and then I don't know what it is. But what's nice about Compassionate Sciences is theirs is, you know, extracted and tested, and yeah, it doesn't have the terpenes, and it's a 10-to-1 ratio, so you can't really play with your own ratio. But it's so much better than when I started, and like you could only get flour. But it's so restrictive, and it's so difficult to be in this program, and so expensive. And then you have 7% sales tax on your medicine. but we, you know, so going back to the packaging from Compassionate Sciences are like these little Ziploc bags. Oh, Breakwater using these now. Oh, that's nice. I honestly have to go back to Breakwater. I heard they're getting like a oil next. But part of the problem is the Department of Health dragging their feet, getting their extraction equipment approved. Bless you. Because last time I was at Garden State Dispensary, and this is probably like 2 years ago, they were like on the verge of getting their extraction equipment approved, but it was like, you'd ask the dispensary, hey, when are you getting oil? And they'd say, when our stuff gets approved by the Department of Health. And you'd call the Department of Health, and they would say, oh, it'll be approved as soon as Garden State Dispensary has us, verify their equipment. So it was like the circle of who's holding this up.
Yeah, I love the circle they give you, the carousel of whoever. Where do you go, Anthony?
I go to Belmore.
Belmore? Get up on that, like prison. Remember prison?
Oh, yeah.
When you were locked up in
that sucked.
Yeah.
As usual.
You're the patient that was arrested for driving while black in Haddon Heights.
Oh, yeah.
Because your taillight was allegedly broken, but it was funny how it worked as soon as you drove away. It worked. Well, when they drove it away, they towed it away. They towed your car that day, right?
No, they actually did me a favor. They actually pulled it over across the street in Burger King. And
they made sure to tell you they did you a favor. Said, we're going to do you a favor, Anthony, okay? We're going to do you. While we chain you up to that wall for 5 hours with no medicine, we're going to leave your car over there, okay?
Yeah.
We'll do you a favor. Tell it to the judge, the rest of it.
They did me another favor also, though. That, besides the like $1,000 or so they took out of my pocket, which was bill money, they left me $1 in there.
That's nice for a blunt.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, go buy a blunt with this there, tough guy. Yeah. Watch this. I'm going to give him $1. Watch this. Watch your Sarge. That's how it went. You don't know, they said all kinds of dumb shit. Yeah, so they had you locked up for 5 hours without any medicine, chained to a wall. That's sick.
My medicine.
They took it away. And did you get your medicine back?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get the medicine back.
No.
I kind of played it nice because I think I needed the money more. So I did get the money back, but they didn't agree to give me back my meds.
They didn't agree to give you your meds?
No.
What if you tried to get your meds back? It's too late now, or?
I'd go by what everyone else said. They probably smoked it themselves by now.
Yeah.
They probably consumed some good meds from New Jersey dispensaries.
Well, you had some good stuff, too. Oh, my God.
Well, that's why I'm like, I don't want to hold up legal. Like, we need to, like, kind of stop the arrest now. Like, I mean, this whole kind of policing for profit kind of deal where they're like, oh, your taillight was out. I think it's worse in other states. I think New Jersey had their little, like, oh, hey, you can't train police to be racist thing that happened back in, like, the 90s and 2000s. And now that we're no longer under, like, federal watch, like, they kind of got to maintain, don't start with the profiling again, because that's bullshit. But you get entrapped in these situations. Like, I'm a patient because I spent $800 on doctor visits and $200 for my card, and I spent $600 for weed, and, so that makes me legal because I pay into the system. But if I didn't do all that, now I'm a criminal, and now I'm costing the system money, and it actually costs you more money as a criminal, and that's quotes, because now you got to pay, even if you get diverted to drug court, you have to pay all these fees, and there's all these requirements.
You don't want drug court. No.
It's designed to make you screw up so they can throw you in jail.
You don't want drug court.
Force you to rehab. Who needs rehab for cannabis? Like, honestly, like, maybe like 8% have a sort of, you can go compulsive about everything. I mean, I'm not going to say that cannabis is 100% benign for everybody. Some people, it's just not good for you. But you don't send people to rehab for alcohol if they use responsibly, and there is a responsible level of cannabis use, and it has medical value, and it has a social value, I think, too. Like, if we can have people that, go home, get drunk, beat their kids, switch to cannabis and maybe, cut down on the problems we have with, alcohol abuse and opiate abuse with a safer choice, why wouldn't we do that? We kind of want to get people, and if we are going to talk about, it's about, health, then let's make it about health. We don't put people in jail for having cancer or diabetes or any of these other health issues. So if substance abuse is a health issue, let's treat it like a health issue and get it out of the hands of the criminal justice system. That way they can focus on real crime, like untested rape kits, guns, these guns that are legally bought at one point, I mean, somebody bought that gun. How did it get on the street? There's no tracking. There's no information. Like, it's harder to sell a car than, trafficking weapons.
Yeah.
Or trafficking people. Like, we have human trafficking in this country. Maybe we should divert some of those drug enforcement resources to stopping human trafficking. But the problem is you don't get civil asset forfeiture for catching rapists or stopping human trafficking. You only get it if you bust somebody for drugs. Then they can take all your shit.
Wow. That's true.
Yep. The money hunt.
But the cannabis legalization will be more money. Because it's not just the cannabis itself, which is going to create a whole shit ton of jobs, but all the stuff that goes along with it. Like, I was thinking today, like, I want to go to, like, a spa and get, like, a cannabis massage.
Oh, my God.
Like, doesn't that sound amazing? Like, I'm a big fan of edibles. I'm all about indica, body high, like, I have gastrointestinal whatever, so being able to not be in pain, it was, like, the first time in my life. Like, I will never forget what that was like. And that's why, I'm here, today. Like, I could easily just stay home and just, do my medicine and whatever. But I think everybody should have this access. But, like, a cannabis massage in, like, a spa? Like, lavender's relaxing, but this would be even better.
I've had some really good cannabis salve. High THC, just very relaxing.
But you have all these businesses in other states that are, cannabis adjacent. All your equipment and pipes and that sort of thing, but also like something as simple as a cooking class and culinary things, or cannabis massage, or other topicals and therapies and things that just go along with it. Sort of like with alcohol, like you do like a wine trail. Like you can literally get in a car and drive around different vineyards in New Jersey, and they have events. Why not with cannabis? A nice bud and breakfast. You drive down these beautiful highways and like Ringos and out in like Sussex County or up in like the Skylands region. Tell me you wouldn't want to do that. Like have a nice cannabis infused dinner, go to bed in a nice bed and breakfast, wake up in the morning, wake and bake, go for a nice hike in the woods in beautiful New Jersey, maybe go to High Point State Park. You
got sunflower fields up there to go to.
Yes.
Waterfalls everywhere up there in Sussex County.
Down the beach, toes in the sand.
Oh my.
Sunshine. Like we're losing out on these like tourism opportunities. And so all these people that, right now, it's very negative and it's a drain on our, system with having to pay for all this extra law enforcement. Instead, you convert it into this tourism industry and you create jobs and you create positivity and you create a new industry. Because New Jersey, I love New Jersey. Born here, gonna die here, Jersey girl through and through. But other states, man, they're gonna get ahead of us. And, we need this money for our schools and our infrastructure. Like, look at Colorado. How much money do they get to put in their schools? We could stop building prisons. We could start building schools.
Mike Alonso just got on the school board in Bayonne. He was our cannabis candidate.
Mm-hmm.
CPR, he believes in. New Jersey needs CPR, cannabis patients' rights.
That's right.
I love that slogan. So he's on the school board now, and he's trying to figure out where all this money is going that they're wasting, because Bayonne doesn't have a guy that knows how to count numbers. So they screwed up the numbers for last year. And they're getting substitute teachers that, they're going to outsource the company. And it's going to cost $40,000 more a teacher. So, it's like, wait a minute, what?
Well, I was talking to
Slav, yes.
And we were talking about, when he was a kid, his city had a community center. It was a free community center. There were civic engagement programs. There was after-school stuff. You just went there and you could do stuff. Well, now these community centers have closed, and we don't have like the money to invest in our schools and communities. So where are kids supposed to turn? And we have all these people working way too hard, not able to, volunteer at these kinds of things and be Boy Scout troop leaders and Girl Scout troop leaders. So I think part of the pressure of it's so difficult to survive and struggle in New Jersey, because everything costs so much and the taxes are so high. Like, we need new jobs, new industry, and new revenue.
Yeah, the cannabis industry is going to bring in a lot of money to the state. I just don't know what role I'm going to play, because I don't want to make money off patients. That's my issue.
There's still going to be a need for medical. Like, I'd love to see a hybrid program, and I think most social users would be, amenable to it, is they can help support and defray the cost for patients. So maybe we can have, low to no cost cannabis for, kids and people on disabilities. So they're not paying $500 an ounce. They're not paying 25% sales tax. They're not paying 7% sales tax like they are now. And these, as I think the dispensaries, to a certain extent, do want to have their heart in the right place and make it easier for patients, but right now they're shouldering the whole cost. So my hope would be with legalization in a larger market that they would help pay some of that forward, and still assist patients and still advocate for research and still advocate for, patient rights. I mean, there are still conditions that we may need to add, to the medical program.
That's a great idea.
So I don't think you have to. I don't think you can quit any time, Lefty. I think you're stuck. And then once we're done here, we got to take this nationwide. Because like right now, there's Alexis Bortel.
Yeah, she's suing. Oh man, she's great.
She's amazing.
She's awesome.
I've been watching her story for years.
Me too.
All right, she's like, to me, she's like one of our girls that had to like uproot her life out of her home state.
Yes.
Can't see her family.
Nope.
Had to leave Texas, move to Colorado, to get access, to get safe legal access, and just like so many people have had to leave New Jersey. I mean, like. People have moved to Maine, Colorado, people move, just get the hell out of Jersey, even with a medical program. And then, so now she's like kind of trapped in Colorado. She can't go to Disney because she can't bring her medication with her because it's not legal to travel with your medication. You could probably buy it in Florida if their medical program was up and running. But why should she have to buy different medicine in Florida compared to what she could buy in Colorado? I mean, I travel with my insulin all the time. I don't have to buy new insulin when I land in a new state. But yeah, we got to fix New Jersey and nationwide.
What's happening, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Leo.
I was just listening. I wasn't going to say nothing at first. I mean, Dad, gotta get your insulin, a new insulin when you get to a new state. I mean, Dad. Are we that messed up?
Well, I was saying, I went to the dispensary, and my car took me through Pennsylvania on the way down.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure, don't do that on the way back, because, I can't buy legal cannabis in New Jersey and then go to Pennsylvania. I can't buy legal cannabis in New Jersey and then go to New York. We don't have reciprocity. If I'm a patient from another state and I come to New Jersey, I can't buy anything here.
That is true. You can do it in those states, but you can't do it here. It's not.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
And all these lines are imaginary, though.
Well, see, here's the thing. We talked about this earlier. At this point, we're starting to see that education is the biggest thing we got going against us right now. Because when you talk cannabis legalization, especially in New Jersey, you have to understand you're messing with some old money. Because the pharmaceutical companies have been in this state for generations. When you talk cannabis legalization in New Jersey, you're also messing with some long money because the alcohol industry has been in this state for generations.
Tobacco,
and let's be clear. We cannot allow those two major points to elude us here in terms of having a full understanding of what exactly is against us. Because you have to understand, for a lot of those people, for most of those people in that building right there, this subject was taboo like a year ago.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And so, a good friend of mine named Marvin Washington, he used to be the defensive end for the Broncos. He won a Super Bowl with Elway and them, and then he was with the Jets. He said something. He said the most brilliant line I've heard in all the time that I've been doing this. And he said, "We are the most unorganized truth against an organized lie. An old organized lie at that." And it's like when you really sit down and think about it, you understand, especially if you sit for a minute and let that whole thought just play in your head, it becomes more profound the longer you think about it, And like, again, brilliance to Marvin Washington for even thinking along those lines. But that's what is required of us, particularly those of us coming from the advocacy background. is that we have to have a full understanding of what exactly it is that we got going against us, because it's sort of kind of like, you know how we have to show your grandparents how to work their iPad or their iPhone?
Right.
We're showing our parents here how to really think, because you know what you thought it was, it ain't that.
It ain't that at all.
I guess it's me, because I think I might be a little younger. We might be around the same age, but like my
I'm
parents,
42.
All right, yeah, so we're around the same age, but my parents are the baby boomers. My parents were the
Exactly.
ones that were like, oh yeah, let's smoke weed and do drugs and listen to music. So I'm like, what happened to all of y'all?
The
Why
hippies.
isn't this done yet?
Because we're against an organized lie.
That's
you know,
right.
the whole Aislander thing, and understand, as the hippie crowd, the baby boomers, evolved into middle-aged and then became older, you know what I'm saying, it was all with that same mindset. So they can't help it. They were programmed just like we were. You know, I went to the League of Municipalities about a week ago in Atlantic City, and I talked to a bunch of mayors and city councilmen and freeholders and stuff like that. And, you know, it was always children. And I get that. You know, I don't want my kids to be da-da-da-da. And I said, well, wait. First of all, you do realize that cannabis, even cannabis consumers know that this is a controlled substance. So if you got, and it should be treated as such. So if you worried about whether or not your kids are going to get a hold of some edible candies, you know what I'm saying, then that means that the responsibility is not on the cannabis plant. The responsibility is actually on the parent. Why is this not locked up like your liquor's locked up? And mind you, you're saying all this to me while living in the midst of a serious opioid abuse and addiction epidemic. So this is where, you know, the oxymoronic politics must end. And it's a funny time in time, because these are the things that, honestly, you know, a lot of these people in here are going to be asking us for jobs next summer.
Oh, yeah?
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, all the municipalities that are voting for new mayors and new city councilmen and all that stuff, see, the train has already left the building. You know, and I explained to a few of them that, you know, there's the opt-out clause in this bill. So if your municipality actually opts out, you can't get back in for a couple years, and you're not going to see none of the revenue from this. And I'll be honest, and to be even more honest, or more, you know, honest about it, we're not going to know how bad it is until after Phil Murphy gets in, when they open up the books. So there's no telling how much work we really going to have to with the grand scheme, like the bigger picture. We don't know. In
comparison to Colorado, just the population size of our state. I
mean, Colorado announced like a couple weeks ago that they've collected, since 2010, they've collected $500 million in taxes from legal cannabis sales. Now, most people don't realize Colorado was legal for adult use in 2014. So we're talking like a little over 2.5 years of, you know, how much of that $500 million was made in the last 2.5 years. Now, understand this too. They did those numbers with a population of 3 million people and 77 million visitors a year. Okay? New Jersey, we have a population of 9 million people, and we see 98 million visitors a year. And let me be even more frank. We are bordered by 3 states that just have medical marijuana programs. Unfortunately, 2 of those states have the worst kind of medical marijuana programs a state can have, Pennsylvania and New York, only because in both those states you can only buy your cannabis in oil form. That's it. Ain't no breaking up no bud, no breaking up no flower, none of that is happening. So, when we go live, where you think all them people in Philly gonna go to get their weed? Where you think all them people in New York gonna go to get their stuff? Yeah, okay. That 330 million, see what they used to say in The Wire, remember that show, The Wire?
Yeah.
What happens if you mess up the count? You get messed up? The count is off.
Yeah.
The count is off. And that, again, that's because we're talking about people who are new to this space, in terms of they don't even have the terminology down pat, and they don't fully understand just how infant we are in this industry. We are such a baby industry. We don't even have an industry standard unit of measurement. That's how baby this is. So it's incumbent upon us that we think more on a macro level than anything else. It's never been here before. So yes, we need a Cannabis College of New Jersey, not Oxfordham, but a Cannabis College of New Jersey.
Yeah, and
that's the type of stuff that's how you create generational revenue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how, you know what? We also need the FDA to get involved.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I would agree.
Yeah, because what happens when you start having these edible
Quality
bakeries and stuff? I mean, I could get my stuff tested all day, but who's to say that I'm not mixing things when I bake these cookies?
Or just food safety. I mean,
Exactly. We need the food safety.
Even just,
yeah.
You know, like hummus every once in a while comes up contaminated. So
Exactly. So
you just need inspectors.
Now here's the thing. To the untrained eye, that sounds like nothing but problems. But see, to the trained ear, all I hear is more jobs. Sound like a good problem to have, if you ask me.
Absolutely. I would
Because
agree.
if you heard in the presidential election and everything, what was the number one concern of voters? Jobs.
And they need to
and
be
here
good
I am.
jobs.
Yeah.
They
And
need
here
to
I
be,
am.
like,
Yeah.
Union,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
organized, like good jobs that give a good salary, good
Right.
pension and benefits,
Sure.
like we used to have in this country.
Right.
Not no $7 an hour poverty wages. You're still on, assistance for your kids, but real, well-paying, organized jobs with dignity, up and down from the whole chain.
Well, then that's why you look at, like, to me, it's exciting when you look at what S319 calls for, which is the formation of the Department of Marijuana Enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, that's jobs. You understand what I'm saying? New Jersey is projected to be a $1.6 to $2.2 billion a year industry. There's also another projection of $950 million in ancillary revenue. Those are businesses that don't touch the plant at all.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat with those numbers, we start off number 2 behind California. But here's why I believe we'll be number 1. Because when you look at California, when California goes legal for adult use, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to change the landscape. The landscape is not going to change very much. And the reason being is because California was the first to legalize it, and they did it with a medicinal thing, they completely saturated their market with a bunch of dispensaries. You know what I'm saying? So when they go for adult use, you're not going to see much of a change in the scenery. You understand what I'm saying? It's not going to be. You're not
a drastic change, right?
Yeah, you're not going to see no new dispensaries. You may
Right,
see one or two, but it's not going to be so drastic.
Right.
And so because of that, it'll take a while before their adult use market balances itself against their medicinal market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's going to take time. We're starting from ground zero because we only have 6 dispensaries in the state, and 5 are only operating.
I was going to say that other one, that Harmony, that they've been sitting on that permit for like the 8 years.
I'm actually pretty plugged in with them.
Oh,
and
okay.
there is such a crazy backstory. Okay. The fact that you haven't even heard from Harmony is a story in of itself.
Wow.
And if you find
I'm coming from a patient perspective.
Right, yeah.
We had one dispensary for like almost my entire career as a patient, and then we're watching them, they're all open, and then I'm like, what's going on with this one? So we got to hear that story.
Yeah, that's an offline conversation.
Okay.
Because, I got to give it to those guys at Harmony. They hung in there. They went through some stuff.
And that's why I do agree that they should have first crack.
Yeah, and it was hard, but they were quiet about it. They had to.
Oh, this New Jersey medical marijuana program was not only hard on the patients, it was hard on the doctors, and hard on the people who managed to win those permits. And that's why I think they do deserve first crack at the social use market. My concern as a patient is they can't keep up with our demand today.
No. By law, they have to have it. If you're a registered patient, they have to have a set supply for their registered patients.
Yeah, so that's my concern.
So you can envision that there will be times where they're not able to serve the adult use side, and people, if you come in here to get stuff for rec, you know what I'm saying, they're going to have to turn you away.
And
but then but then if you're a patient, no, they got you.
Okay, because the other thing I'm concerned about too is the access, but also the cost, because we know our cannabis is seriously overpriced, and I'm hoping with an expanded user base, with a social use market.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably still have, like, I think in the Colorado system you have certain products that are medical and certain products that are
Right.
social
A lot
use,
of that cannabis is much
which
stronger.
I can understand because, you know, I've been ingesting cannabis daily for the last 4 years.
So you have a tolerance.
So
Yeah.
I have built a tolerance over time, and you need to have like your brownies for your long-term patients, and then your rookie cookies for your, like, let's try it this weekend. Because I'm telling you, I had a brownie, thought it was a dud, my own. I made my own. I had a second brownie. They were not duds. It's a very scary experience.
Well,
but you can get through it because cannabis can't really kill you unless you smoke like 1,500 pounds
Yeah,
of it.
I was gonna say you got
it's not a real amount.
That's the one thing that you talk yourself down. Like, having been a patient for a long time and having been on opiates, like, you can't screw up your opiate medication. You take too much, you die. But your cannabis medication, you'll be uncomfortable for a couple hours, but you'll be fine.
But you won't be dead.
You'll be fine.
Yeah,
you sleep it off. You drink some water. You'll be fine.
Yeah. And again, this is where the educational value. The value of educating people is not limited to those who do not consume. There's an educational value that has to happen amongst consumers because most cannabis consumers know how many pulls from a joint it'll take before they actually feel it. But most people don't realize that smoking is just a delivery method.
Yes.
And you have to be just as knowledgeable about how your body digests edibles and all that stuff like you are about how long it takes for you to get, for you to feel it when you smoke. So it requires, us to understand something. What we are doing is we are facilitating a cultural shift in how we see this plant and how we use this plant. The reason why we're saying cultural shift is because, again, organized lie, unorganized truth, organized lie, all of these things. We have the grand scope of this whole Aislinger prohibition thing or whatever. We're understanding, like, we're talking about 90 years, I'm saying 80, 90 years, it's a lot of unraveling and re-educating that we have to do. And part of that is getting involved with being there during the legislative process, bringing these people up to speed, and having them understand how it all works. And then the other part of that is also educating the general public.
You got to remember, too, what we got in New Jersey is that we're facing. I heard on the radio that out of the possible people who could vote in the last gubernatorial election, it was only 30% statewide. So
35.
that means that the people who were active enough to vote control the government, right? And otherwise, there's a great mass that gets to piss and moan and to cheer when something good happens.
Right.
So what you're saying is people got to show up, write your legislators, call
right.
them
It
now.
should be a holiday. It should be a national holiday.
Truthfully
should be.
Truth be told, I'm as co-founder of the New Jersey Cannabis Commission. One of the things one of the initiatives that I think we're probably going to try to push forward and get going is the test the system. # test the system.
# test the system.
Yeah.
And what is that?
That is, get out, register, vote. Because like when you look at the city of Trenton, you look at where the way things look or whatnot. The last time we voted for a mayor, which is in 2014, we had 58,000 people who were of voting age. Out of that 58,000, 9,000 actually voted. For whatever reason, only 9,000.
So that's actually really good news, though, because if you are one of the people that votes in this state, you are one of the most powerful people in the state. You are 66% more powerful than anybody else.
Exactly. So now, what we're saying is that when you look at the state of the city, and that 9,000, that's an average. You know what I'm saying? That's part of that added to an average that was we normally about 11,000. That's what the average is over the last 20 years. Now, here's the thing. When you are, we are 7 months ahead of these elections taking place. Normally, we don't talk this early about it. That's number one. And number two, when you look at the state of the city as it is, and this is and Trenton, you can say Camden, you can say Newark, you can say whatever. The thing is that this is what it looks like when everybody decides that they vote don't count. So now that we know what it looks like when we tried it your way, let's try it the way we've been telling you to try it. You know what I'm saying? Get out and vote. So # test the system. Let's see if it really works the way we think it works.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had like 9,000 people voting, that tells me that, if you only have 500 more people voting, this ain't the mayor you have, and this ain't the city council yet.
And suppose it happens to be a special interest group of, I don't know, marijuana I have to think of first. But for example, with only 10% voting, that means that you're going to get a lot of radical groups coming into the system. And I just read a book on swarm intelligence and about the French philosophers talking to the founding fathers. And they also believed that in spite of the ease of rule by the enlightened, right, which was the standard, the nobility, royalty, whatever, that if everybody just votes the way that's in their head they think they want to go, the best will win.
Yes.
And he showed all these examples of how the swarm intelligence works.
Yes. But see, the thing is that way of thinking is limited to a very few. Not everybody. Like, again, this is really truly an awakening. Listen, everybody here, all of us, if you look around, all of us here and all throughout the city, we are the only ones who will be at the end of prohibition on cannabis in New Jersey. No one else will experience this but us.
Well, cannabis in itself, when you ingest or inhale cannabis, that breaks regular government programming. It lets you actually think outside of the box.
But if you don't know that, it needs to be be common knowledge.
Yes,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like the things that you just said, that's not common knowledge amongst the people.
Right.
I mean, and listen, we have to get, like, when it comes to the people, the general public, there's a lot of things a lot of myths we have to dispel, a lot of bringing up, raising people to a higher standard of thinking, such as, here, you say, hey, what kind of bud you got? Oh, this is loud. This that Reggie. Okay, no. Is this a sativa or indica?
Or
what's the name of the
the
the strain? Is this White Widow? AK?
Yeah.
What is this? Like, again, the educational value, that the value of educating folks and getting people on a, hey ladies, bye.
Have a nice day.
The value
Thank
of
you for
getting
coming.
folks,
Happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, the value of getting folks understood and heard, and also educated is paramount. You know what I'm saying? And you can't quantify the value of that. It's just it's priceless. But the thing is that this is a process. It requires a massive amount of time. Thank God, when you look at organizations like Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey Cannabis Association, the New Jersey Cannabis Commission, you know what I'm saying? When you look at these types of organizations, these are the organizations that actually have some very real sweat equity, who are homegrown from New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at the individual organizations, and then you ask yourself, who are they strategically partner with? You know what I'm saying? The New Jersey Cannabis Commission is strategically partnered with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Why? Because they're, our national president, Roz McCarthy, is, killing it when it comes to hemp, the hemp side of things. That's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother revenue generator. You see what I'm saying? That we haven't even scratched the surface of talking about. Yeah. But these are all the things that, like I said, we are not going to know how bad it really is. The last 8 years have been until January. And I'm sure Phil Murphy and them are sitting there like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? I can't wait for them to come out and say, hey, y'all, it was worse than we thought.
No, the last 8 years have been so. How many credit downgrades have we gotten?
He said that. Listen, let me tell you something. I worked for General David Petraeus when he was a 3-star general, and I did the NATO training mission in Iraq, and I worked for Admiral Mike Mullins and all that stuff. Now, here's the thing that I learned about working with these men and seeing these men actually work. It is much easier to bring down a government than it is to actually build one and run it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And as regular citizens, we can say whatever we want about these politicians. We can be as critical and everything like that as you want. Even Governor-elect Murphy could say all the things that he wants to say when he was on that campaign trail. And I get that. But let me tell you, when you in that chair, Decisions become real different all of a sudden, which is why heavy is the head that wears the crown. Be careful what you ask for, and be careful who you put in these chairs. America is finding that lesson out the hard way with when you look at our current commander-in-chief now. That man ain't built for this world. That's why he says the things that he says. He doesn't know that that's not what you're supposed to say. He's not built for this world. I always tell people the biggest victim in all of this to me is Melania Trump. She's one of the few people in America that if you told her she got to leave her house to go live in the White House, that's a downgrade. Okay? That's a downgrade from her. I'm sure Michelle was taking her around and showing her like, yeah, Melania, this is the Lincoln bedroom. And Melania was sitting there like, okay. Me and Biden are staying in the yacht. Because you have to understand, she didn't grow up with dreams of living in the White House. She's not even from here. So you're going to tell her to move from a penthouse with golden showers and faucets and maids to a history book? And it's not even her history?
Well,
and then on top of that, then on top of that, you asking her to come behind Michelle? Oh, I'd be stealing speeches too.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, like, nothing against D.C., but it's not New York.
No.
I mean, I'm
No.
sorry. If I had to choose, like, I can go to one and never go to the other again.
Yeah.
New York City, hands down. Especially where she is in New York City.
And then on top of that, now the whole, she was okay with the fact that her husband was a pig as long as nobody else knew it. But now you got this on blast. Why do you think she always pushing his hand away?
Oh, this got to be, like...
The youngest
It's
daughter
kinda
don't even want to.
embarrassing.
Yeah, the youngest daughter don't even want to be up in there with them. They're not built for this world. They're not built for the world that their father's working in. And look, that's why the current commander-in-chief always got that look on his face, like he the dude that lied on the application and got the job.
Well, when he was in private enterprise, like, there's a whole different set of rules and a whole different set of paparazzi and, what you can get away. And, you go to a country club and people whisper behind your back. Once you're president and first lady,
and
like, you're public, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you understand the things
laws
that,
are
yeah,
different.
and
You
you're
can
in charge of everybody.
You can criticize a public citizen differently than a private citizen.
Exactly.
The things you can say about the president are very different from the things you can say about the president of GE.
Yeah.
Because we have that in our Constitution that, our government officials work for us. They're public servants and they report to us.
Yes, but see, he doesn't understand that.
But yeah, CEO business is totally different.
Yeah, and
I
you
don't
have to
think that's
understand-
true, man.
Yeah, and you also have to understand that you have to understand, like, in his world, you know what I'm saying? That's what eccentric people talk. That's how they talk. That's how they act. You understand what I'm saying? Like I had a meeting with Reverend Al Sharpton, and we were talking about Roger Stone. And Reverend Al Sharpton said to us, he said, I don't have a problem with Roger Stone. He said Roger Stone reached out to me one day and told me he would help me with my campaign when I was running for president. And he said Roger Stone called me a professional Negro.
Oh my God.
But he said, but I understood. And it's not that so much that it's okay, it's just that he said I understood. Roger Stone's eccentric. That's how eccentric people talk.
I see. So
you know what I'm saying?
We were talking
you
about,
kind of like that's one of those things you got to accept about
we
him.
were talking about that before, how, like, we kind of have to create a buffer zone between, like, people say things and they don't realize what they're saying, so you
Right.
kind of say, hey dude, that's not cool, and then, like, kind of work it out, civilly between friends.
Correct.
But you really can't do that when this guy's like a billionaire and everybody just kind of accepts, like, yeah, he's just that way.
Well, see, but what a lot of folks fail to realize is that what examples are we teaching our children?
Yes.
Because words in a dictionary don't have the same meanings. We're telling our children to be honest, and then you turn around, we're telling them to be honest, but the world is showing them nothing but dishonesty. And
Very
then
true.
when you look at, the current racial and political climate of this country, this is why the general public tends to lean more towards the word of a veteran before a politician these days, because they know we're going to tell it. We're much better. We're much more better of a return on investment than 22 veteran suicides a day, because at the end of the day, as a taxpaying United States citizen, you paid for this.
Well, I'm ashamed in a way because, I appreciate all the work that our veterans do to, protect our nation, and then they come back here and we can't even give them adequate health care. We can't prevent them from, committing suicide in some of the most horrifying ways. Like, I heard about the veteran in New Jersey. The first time I heard the story, the one that set himself on fire,
yeah.
I thought it was just a repeat in my feed from the one that did it previously.
No, it was a new one.
And I was like,
it was
I
a
wanted
new
to
one.
vomit.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this happening in our country where, we talk so much about patriotism and respect to the military. We need to respect the people when they come home.
Look, we
and we
as
need to
a
support their families.
Yeah, we as a society need a brand new civics exam,
like,
civics
what
class.
happened?
But the thing is that, like I tell people, they're passing those pills out in the VA like it's candy. That's real. That 22 veteran suicides a day, that's real. Half that number is the Vietnam veterans. They still doing themselves. We now have more Vietnam veterans who have come home and killed themselves than the ones that actually died in the war. And we're talking over 58,000. The men and women of the United States military make up less than 1% of the total U.S. population, but we do 100% of the fighting.
If any career had that kind of stats, nobody would sign up. So you guys are special people, and we owe you everything. Like, when you come home, like, you should not have to pay taxes. You should not have to worry about your medical care. You should not have to worry about who's going to provide for your kids. You should come back with job skills. You should come back, and if you come back, damaged from the war, you should be taken care of. Like, it should not be this.
You want to be president? I'll vote for you.
I do. I would love. This is Amanda Hoffman. I'm announcing my run for 2020. I'm officially old enough to be president. I think it's time for a woman to take the lead. I saw Wonder Woman, and that like predominantly woman Senate, and like when she got in the room, I was like, yeah, let's go, girl. But
hey,
no,
look, I was raised by a single mom, and I got 3 sisters, so you get no fight from me.
Well, and that's, I think, because we need to listen to each other, and we need to look out for each other, because our prosperity is bound in our neighbor's prosperity.
Well, when you look at, like, for veterans, right, we are accustomed to success. We are. We are accustomed to success. We have known success. We have performed successfully. Now, here's the thing. You know what the key to that success is and being able to achieve all that? We always did it together.
True.
Our success transcended racial, gender, religious. We did it together. It was always about the mission. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now I'm encouraged, actually, especially when you look at the state of the country, because especially when you look at the whole women being sexually abused in the state, in the Senate. See, what that does is it forces America to rethink how we value our women.
Very true. When can I vote for you?
Huh?
When can I vote for you? When are you running?
Okay, so if Leo Bridgewater is the president or the governor or the mayor of anything, it's bad. I know my truth. I ain't that.
Yeah.
But I know what it looks like, and understand when I talk, because like we have a quality of leadership issue, and so remember when I say quality of leadership, remember Petraeus, Mullins, Kukalo, all these men understand what my measuring sticks are for quality when I say quality. And that's what this is. I see it. I see something. I see some things wrong. I was there when the Iraqi people voted for the first time. I was there to see the Transitional National Assembly take their seats for the first time. I was there during the Saddam Hussein trials. So when I come back here, and mind you, I haven't lived in the city in 22 years. So when I move back here and I'm looking around, I'm going, wait a minute, I've seen this before. Hold up. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's the kind of leadership we need, though, that transformational leadership, because as much as I hate to admit it, like, I think we've kind of, in America, been so focused on we're the best, and we've let so many things, degrade and fall apart over time, and we need that sort of visionary rebuilding leadership, because like you said, it's harder to rebuild something than to start fresh.
Yeah, it's harder to bring down. It's harder to run something than it is to actually tear it down. That's what, and that's essentially, we learned that lesson the hard way in Iraq. Now I see an opportunity here. Again, we're talking cultural shift, and and honestly, I want part of that cultural, a big part of that cultural shift to be how we value our women, our value system, and how we look at our women and how we treat our women. That has to happen, because now what we look like to the rest of the world, especially when you look at this one coming out, got 8 women who says they touched them and they fondled them, and all of that stuff. That all that did is just put a spotlight on how we devalue our women. I mean, heck, we even have a president who believes in grabbing them by the, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and I think we need to work with our men and boys too, because we need to
Again, a value system. That's
You know,
that plays into the value system.
like we have women that are coming out and reporting these things. We need to believe the women, but we also need to work with our men and boys to let them know that it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be to experience your emotions, and it's okay to love yourself, and it's okay to value those things, because we tend to, as a culture, to value what's considered feminine.
And then you also have to recognize the fact that we also have to value. We need to take a. It's not so much that we need to believe our women. We do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to give that same kind of. We got to afford that same allowance when it comes to men, because you're gonna have some women who are gonna be lying for real.
I think it's less, but I think. I
know. Look, let me say this.
No.
Even if it's one, it needs to be changed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
But we need to teach our boys too that they don't need to trick women. Like they don't need to.
That is that now. Now that comes to an individual. Like I'm.
Trick is the wrong word. Where they need to, like, nobody needs to deceive each other. Like, people should be able to consent and say yes to things. Instead, right now, everybody's afraid of each other. Women are afraid of men.
Yep.
Men
are
afraid of
women. Yeah. Yep.
And there's also, like, if you're at work, there is no consent. If you're an officer and you arrest somebody, there is no consent. If you're a teacher and they're a student, there is no consent. If somebody is inebriated and cannot actively consent, that's not consent.
Yep.
So just avoid those situations. If you're at work with somebody and you think they're attractive, keep it to yourself.
Right.
Don't date at work unless it's clear. What happens in a lot of these cases, I think, is more about power, where this guy just wants some woman that or it could go the other way too, but someone who's subordinate, someone who can't say no, or someone who does say no, and then you apply pressure to get what you want.
Right.
And I mean, we should value each other as humans.
Agreed.
Don't force people to do things like, I don't know. It just seems so simple to me, but I'm having a hard time putting into words. It's like, just respect people's bodily autonomy and choices.
Amen.
Allow me to make an informed decision about whatever I might be putting into my body, or if I'm in, starting a relationship, or in a work situation. Like, be honest, But the world is so full of lies and games, and that's how people get hurt.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, look, I got to get going. Lefty. I got to get going. All right. I want to wish everybody out there very happy Thanksgiving, happy Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. I want to take the time to thank the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey for the sweat equity that was put into all of this. I think that there should be – that's Jim Eaton, y'all.
Yeah, not all the sweating today, more freezing.
Yeah, but, it should be interesting to see the fruits of our labor, right, Jim?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting real soon.
I want to take the time to thank you and Lefty
appreciate it.
For giving me the guidance and your support, and I hope that we look like you envisioned on 420.
Everything's on a more accelerated time schedule than I envisioned, so.
But we talked about
that's a good thing,
Yeah.
I mean, it is actually.
Yeah.
And I think we are able to take something already rolling downhill and get it on its fastest course downhill. Not just say it's going to get there. Oh, no. We're going to guide it all the way. Eyes wide open, too.
Yeah. All right, brother. You take care, man.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye. And we are going to be breaking down in a little while soon because, as with many people, I have a Thanksgiving dinner that I need to get to, and I have some of the chairs here that we're going to be using for that dinner. So I'm having an hors d'oeuvre. I'm having wings as an hors d'oeuvre before Thanksgiving dinner. Sorry, Kathy, if you're watching, but these are really good wings, and it's not going to spoil my turkey dinner. Maybe a little bit. Let me get out of your seat. Sit here. I'll sit over there.
All right. I want to thank CMMNJ.org. I want to thank you guys for allowing us to smoke cannabis here at the State House, right out here wherever we want. That's a great thing. You guys fought for this right. You and Cheryl, you fought for this right for many years. You and Ken and the coalition. So thank the Coalition of Medical Marijuana New Jersey, CMMNJ.org.
And just thank you too for being here week in, week out, and getting those impromptu meetings so we can have the more formal hearings.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have been here. We started as a informational protest. Jenny Storm started it, and then she had to go to Colorado, and we didn't want it to end abruptly, so we just kind of all banded together and filled in and picked up the permits, and everybody pitched in, and we got through Thanksgiving. But the next year it was, are you going to do it again? And Lefty suggested at the first one, yeah, we'll do it, but you can't sit there and just hold up signs when there's not a lot of people going by Trenton sometimes. I mean, there's nobody to chant to. There's nobody to implore. Right. Well, there is the minute you suggested, why don't we do this? And we got it together hastily as possible for the next week. And the podcast, this is the 100th podcast later. So yeah, we get to implore. We get to do it, and it's recorded and stored, Philippe Dumais leaving the House, coalition board
Philippe
member.
Dumais.
And the procurer of these wings. It's not my fault. I couldn't help it. I knew it would be good. When Philippe says it's going to be good, he took me out to place. He said it's good wings before one time, and it was absolutely true. So anyway, it's there are chairs that I have to get back, and I have to be driving out in what's going to be incredibly quick fashion. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake. So the breakdown is going to be one big, so.
We can do it, though.
Yeah,
we got this down.
I got it timed. I have 21 and a half minutes from 2 o'clock that I have to leave. And a half.
All right.
I bargained for that last half.
SativaCross.com, MagicalButter.com. Magical Butter makes your recipes better. 1-800-420-4334. 1-800-420-4334. Get your Magical Butter machine from MagicalButter.com. Happy Daddy Products, NewJerseyWeedman.com. So while you're out here having your turkey and smoking your weed, New Jersey Weedman's having a bologna sandwich. And he ain't smoking on nothing. And he's got cancer.
And he is where we would normally go after every Thursday podcast. They took away our clubhouse.
Hi, Joanne.
That was great going to the temple, hanging out, a place to commune afterwards. Yeah. You got your card.
You got the card still.
Well,
what card is that?
Coalition has some board members here today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
board
for
members?
the joint.
No, 6 is a magic number, isn't it? That's wonderful. I never say wonderful. What the hell is that? Where'd that come from? Wonderful.
You're just so beside yourself. You're full of thanks.
Medicaid.
Hello.
That's what it is. This is so nice out here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
This
Thanksgiving.
Is, yeah.
It was really cold at 8:30, and so I'm so happy the
really
sun,
cool.
came out, decided to participate with us.
Well, I know that although we are scurrying out, Laura Carter has it. The hard part now has it covered. Not hard. The part you need right now is where does this go? Well, then somebody's scope who knows exactly where to get it go, where it goes, who has a pickup truck will be stopping by, and all the foodstuffs and everything it does not get wasted. It goes where it needs to go.
And we're so thankful for everyone.
Yeah, there was a good turnout today.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
And saw a lot of people that you'd seen at one time or another at the podcast. I'm gonna start looking through the pictures like a private detective. And start to identify people. Put a facial recognition.
Facebook will do that for you.
Don't pull on it.
It's really kind of creepy like that.
Yeah, good turnout for Trenton.
Yeah.
There was a nice family that came today, and we got to help them out a lot. We even gave them some dog food for their cute little dog.
Yeah.
They were very thankful.
And a train set, Lefty. Tell us about the train set real
train
quick. People
set.
have been asking. There was what would be a good present for in wrapped in a package.
Yeah, brand new train set.
They're going to put it up around their Christmas tree, and a brother and sister, they're going to share it.
I'm so glad a child showed up, because the child showed up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we had to ask them, do you have a kid? You
No.
sure you got a kid?
You didn't have
You
to,
sure
well,
you
yeah,
sure
and
you
you
got a
didn't have
kid?
to go out
No.
searching. The first
Right there.
people that came by were the only people in Trenton. I saw them when I went to get the permit down the block.
Oh, uh-huh. They live around the corner.
And they had a wheelchair, too.
Yeah.
So
And they were with the parents, or with the mom
It was,
and
like,
the
it was
grandma.
like a movie scene, like cute, a wheelchair,
it
and the
was a
kid with a
family
dog
affair.
who could
Yeah.
use trains around the Christmas tree.
Right.
Get out.
They
We
were
won.
happy.
We won. For me, a day's worth of satisfaction out of that moment.
Yes.
Took the pressure off.
You know how wonderful it was? Oh, no, I'm going to use wonderful. I dressed the grandma that was in the wheelchair. I put a coat on her, and then I found a hat, and it all just looked really great together. It matched,
yeah.
and she looked
Okay,
good.
and what do I walk up to when I'm walking up? I see Honeybee. You're talking to her and rubbing this up against her face, going, "Oh, doesn't that feel good?" And it's like if somebody walked by, they thought you were her daughter or something. I don't know. I mean, something, you know.
Yeah.
It was so familiar, and it's like, well, that's what we're here for. So it makes it easier to
it was heartwarming,
give
for
thanks
sure.
without, I don't say without guilt, but sometimes it's hard to be thankful for stuff I have that other people don't. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, okay, I earn a brief moment of being thankful for what I got because we're trying to help elevate where we can. So.
Yeah.
Oh, is this for us? A surprise parade. Okay, we're not getting a flyover.
Okay, everyone wave.
This is their equivalent of a flyover, like Hell's Angels.
Elbows,
Thank
wrist.
you.
Elbows, wrist.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. We got the fire, too.
Yeah.
We're going out with a bang.
See the sign they were holding up about congratulations on your 100th podcast?
Yes, yes.
Woohoo!
That's what it sounded like.
I appreciate that.
That's it.
Thank
That's
you.
it. Everyone, a round of applause.
I
Good
find
job.
that hard to believe.
Way to go, guys. Woohoo! We did it.
All right.
Out with the woot woot.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen. We got a predicament. We go out with a blast of sadness always, but we do have to wrap this one up quick because everybody's got prior commitments. This is the one time it's like, okay, you know, you got like
Okay,
Saturday
we're
Night
thankful
Live.
and we're done.
You're
Go,
slowing
bye.
it down right now by your announcing that.
Go.
Okay, we got 4 minutes.
David versus Autism.org. Blue Planet Biotech. I don't mind going through this one. Run New Jersey. Medical-freedom.com. Get your State of Compassion flags from medical-freedom.com. Shout out to William Haney, who can't be here today. He's with his family, though.
Well, that's good.
NewJerseyCannabisbusiness.com. New Jersey Grannies for Grass. Tuffy's Fight. Legalized for Lorelei. Oh. JacksonStorms.com. Prayers for Sarah. Prayers for Pete. Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey. Jenna's Journey. Ariel Photography. Arlo Glass. And Weed for Warriors. I got Tony on the phone, but I can't hear you. My phone's not on. Hold on. Well, we'll talk about our first person on the list, who is Cheryl Miller. The whole reason we're here is because of Cheryl, because she paid it forward for all of us to have cannabis.
Thanks, Cheryl.
And thanks, Jim, for being here.
Yeah, well.
We learned a lot from you.
Well, there's where it began, right there at the State House under construction. Yeah. I'd say a lot of fond memories. They're not real fond, though. You know, not really. A lot of memory.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it like that. A lot of memories. Yeah,
a lot of memories.
A lot of
growing experiences.
Yeah, I remember one time when we were talking to the Assistant Commissioner of Health, George D. Fernando, showed up at a meeting. It was like he had to apologize for the vomit stains on Cheryl because she got sick just before we got there. And that makes him really uneasy, you know.
Yeah.
That's the plan going in. We're going to hit him in the gut with that.
Why didn't you clean up the vomit stains off her shirt?
Well, I did, but you can only do so much in the parking lot, and it was time to get in and have this conversation. So it was either go home and clean up or have the conversation. And this is how important it is.
Right.
You know,
and you were serious.
I was. It was nothing but truth. So anyway, yeah, that's the short but shitty. You know.
And the medicine helps
it's not a fond memory, but it was a fond memory to look on George D. Fernando's face. Yeah, lying sack of shit. Wherever you are, George. You know, one day. He was Assistant Commissioner of Health. said there was sufficient medicine for those who would use marijuana. Acceptable alternatives.
And where is he
that
today?
Well, that became the official opinion of
Jim
the
wants
health
to find
department.
out.
Official opinion of the health department because of him.
Let's find him.
Oh,
We
Lefty.
should.
Lefty's going to call.
Let's call him.
Yeah,
Let's call him on
Write that
Thanksgiving.
down.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, there's
We'll
still
come
a lot
back
of
for
people
a
to
whole.
call.
This is now recorded.
I tell you, we'll come back one day for a special edition of All Calls by Lefty. A whole list, one after the other.
We'll do Lefty.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, he
had some
could
good
do.
ones.
You'll actually have a real list.
You just made a list, buddy.
You know.
No, I mean, I really got a list.
And you really
It's
made
a bad
it.
one.
Yeah. You won't believe how quick I can say you're on here.
Was our first joint we're smoking during the list. Tony, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm here.
Oh, good.
Tony.
Liberty.
Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm far away. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Smoking if
Same
you got
to
him.
you.
I'm far away, so I thought I would call in at the sad point.
Oh man, you're a trooper.
Wow.
Good job.
Well, I close my eyes. I hear you. I'm having legal medication. You're right here with me.
Well, you should smoke a joint as well.
All right. Yeah, we got to
Yeah,
do. We
spark
gotta,
one
we
up,
gotta,
Tony.
We got to do this
Because we're talking about Diane Ripatella now. You're going to need a joint to talk about Diane Ripatella. What she went through with her ALS was shocking to anyone. ALS is a horrible disease.
I see your picture every time I stop in the Egg Harbor dispensary there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a picture. They have a little memorial up for her at the Egg Harbor dispensary. Last I knew, at least.
They should.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Gracie.
Looks like you guys have a great turnout. Oh, you're doing the list, sorry.
Yeah.
No, but we did.
Yep.
Cindy Mae. Marie. Jack from Colorado, whose caregiver is now in jail. The guy who gave Jack his medicine is now being prosecuted. Good job.
Acceptable.
Good job. Joan Ford. Randy Robertson. Bill Buckman. Chad, who had brain cancer. His dad killed himself when he found out about it, and leaving poor Iris to take care of him all by herself, and he didn't make it. Jeremy, Jeremy was Joanne's husband. You have anything to say about Jeremy? I know you have a lot to say about Jeremy, but I mean.
Yeah. I miss him, and that's why. I mean, there's still so much work to do today. I felt pretty good speaking at the Bergen County Community College. Has an addiction series, and I was able to tell them, that prohibition is a matter of life and death, and that where cannabis is legalized, there's a reduction in opioid deaths and opioid use, and where it's medically legal, it's down for overall prescription use. So, and I was with Carol the other day, and, it's amazing to see, the little plant that we're advocating for can help people in so many ways. And that's why I feel like it's so bad that we're persecuted. People that can't get a card, people that have already been persecuted by the law and are struggling because, of the damage that it has caused in their lives. But I was able to let them know, and they were there was some people that were happy to hear it. That's why I think home grow is so important, because the way that it's even looking for legal, it's not going to help patients the way this program ever was meant to help them.
Jeremy grew some nice weed. Amazing.
Yeah.
The colas on that was just, oh my.
I saw pictures. Those were
It was
beautiful.
amazing.
And that too, like, I feel so, why can't I just have something of my own that helps me if I have a stomachache. Who are the politicians to tell me I can't?
Ron Rice,
Just
Cody.
have a little
Jesus Christ. Hold on.
relaxant,
Hold on.
It's a lot safer than the things that are killing people.
You don't see every day.
Like
It's the 100th anniversary,
prescription
This
misuse, abuse.
This is what happens when somebody passes left and somebody passes right. What do you got?
And
That's
alcohol.
great. That is great.
I'm doing fine with this still. I'm
Okay.
waiting for the big call.
I'd like
Safer
to see
than
a-
prescription
I'd like to
use
see a
and
class
alcohol,
action lawsuit
which-
for all the Joannes.
A class action lawsuit, Joanne. That's what Tony says. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm kind of like. There's stuff I'm working on now that
Reparations, drug
Yeah.
war reparations.
So.
Yeah, I didn't want to use that word, but that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're
But the fact that they let us talk, I don't know if that's exactly what I thought. They thought I was going to say, because it was advocating for medical, but also, that encompasses
yeah,
so many people that aren't allowed now.
When I listened to what you just said, what you said was this worries you have about people in addiction and the death and misery addiction cause. I have the same worries, but my worries overlap addiction that the drug war also causes death and misery. So it can't be all drug war, and it can't be all, it has to be both considered. So basically you spoke up for it shouldn't come at the expense of people who,
Yeah, it should
need
only
it for,
help.
especially needs it for medicine, you know, but even just for
Yeah,
regular
I mean,
use.
I think that they understood, and maybe they were
No.
surprised, and maybe
Well,
that's
I
why they
didn't-
wanted it.
yeah.
But I think they understood that it is a better option than what's going on now with, the high death rate from
Job well done.
from what they've been pushing for so long. So, and what we've been saying for so long could help.
Yeah. Well,
So-
being well received as you were, I'm sure the door is open for future collaboration.
I'm sorry that
This is the only pain medicine that I've come across that can be used long term. That's the problem with opiates.
Yep. Safe. Well, anyway, thanks. It was a beautiful, beautiful day here, and congratulations, you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you. And I'm
Did it.
sorry that Jeremy's on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of him when I saw Jim with the 2 joints out of his mouth.
No, I'm sorry.
So that was good.
Well, the thing is, even doing that, it just tempers. This list is, we do this every week, and especially when you're here saying it. I think the message is driven home whether I have little walrus joints in my mouth or not. But come on, they pass in opposite directions. Man, that was wrong. It doesn't take away from the serious nature, obviously. I know that as much as anybody. So.
Colette is Jeff's mom. She died from MS.
Wow.
You'll know all about that because you do die from MS.
From its complications more than the actual disease itself.
Yeah, Cheryl died from pneumonia, right?
Correct.
Matt, Troy from pancreatic cancer. Russ Perry.
That's my friend Troy Bigelow.
Oh, that's right. Your friend from Buffalo, right?
Yeah, it's Buffalo Troy Bigelow, my homie from Buffalo. Yeah, Smiley.
Yeah, we got Tony
Glad
on
to
the
know that
line.
he's there.
Hey, Tony, love you.
Hey, love y'all.
That was Ariel.
In case you didn't know. Russ Perry, Roger Barber, Jay Arletto, Ella Bagelman, Hattie Koshel, and this week we have Honeybee in person to do the ode with us.
Hi.
Hi, Honeybee.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Welcome to Trenton.
You're not laying around in a field of pond.
No.
As Lefty says every week that you are when you
It's
help
true.
us end the show.
It's true.
Must be nice waking up in Oregon every morning in a field of weed.
Yeah.
It's very nice, but you guys are going to be there soon.
Okay.
Soon enough.
It's pretty nice in California.
Yeah. Tony and I out in the West Coast.
However, for now, it's kind of sad, you know, because you end the show on a most personal note by including your son,
Right.
in the list to wrap it up.
Michael Dillon.
Before, for the final time, after I don't know how many, it wasn't in the first podcast, but it happened pretty soon in what we did. The Ode to Remembrance, written after World War I, to remember World War I soldiers, mostly by Great Britain, United States, Australia, and New Zealand. They're slightly different versions. The fourth stanza is written in stone, literally over the War Memorial Auditorium. And Joanne alerted us to that by email at the end of our first year.
Yeah, and we were looking over here for it at this memorial. We couldn't find it.
Yeah, but so it was over there, and we found it on a rainy last day podcast, and that's like 2 years later. And we've been reciting it for 2.5 years. But Honeybee has the honors, if that can be such a word to describe it, as giving it the personal touch, and as we seem to understand an application to it, all of us. Well, as it applies to medical cannabis.
When you talk about your son, you talk about drop seizures.
Yeah,
it's a very serious thing, and
it is.
Epilepsy is a very serious issue. And
well, just so people are clear about a drop seizure, that's a seizure. If you're standing, it's just going to cause you to drop.
Yes, all the way to the ground.
In other words, it's
and your
not,
your head probably hits first.
Right. Yeah. So
or maybe your arm.
It's just like basically, as anybody would imagine, it falling unconscious out of nowhere with no warning, and you don't remember going down.
Right.
You know, and then a seizure between then and that. But in the process, you know, unless you wear a helmet, and that's why when you see a child with a helmet on, it's that's what it's for.
Right. Is that what they call the St. Vitus dance, or is that another thing?
I don't know.
I mean, it used to be called the falling sickness.
You're older than all of us, Dan. It could have been called that.
I'm not sure.
In your day, which is about only 5 years from mine, so I'm sitting on your side here. I don't know.
Yeah, St. Vitus,
it actually sounds familiar. It could have been an old description of a seizure.
Yeah, or about one of the persons who, a bad MS patient.
Yeah. Okay. Well, nonetheless, you know, like you always say in Oregon, is it time? It's this is it.
Is it time? Are you ready?
The last ode. The last one.
Well, first I want to thank you for adding Michael to your list and remembering him. That means a lot. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.